you.
An idiot sandwich.
I don't think women should vote.
Huh?
I don't think women should vote. I don't think women should vote.
Oh my God, you're an idiot.
I learned a lot. And I learned a lot. Anyway, Bo is associated here. Anyway, the point I want to make is I learned so much. I learned black, white, all colors, all backgrounds, but I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot, you know. Come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. What I have to do is I have to continue talking about the things. Come on, man. Oh, I'm in trouble. What are we, nuts? Dead. You know. Come on, man. Give me a little break here. Get a life. Taking cocaine or not? What do you think? Huh? Come on, man. Black, white, all colors, all backgrounds, but I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot, you know. Come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. Come on, man. Come on, man. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids. Come on, man. I mean, come on. Take a look at the record. I know a lot of weed smokers. Come on, man. Black, white, all colors, all backgrounds, but I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot, you know. Come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Why the hell would I take a test? I am, come on, man.
She's actually hurt.
No,
there.
I think she is.
Yeah, she's
Ouch.
hurt. She took a hard fall off there. Boy,
Okay.
gosh, I hope she's okay.
Your auntie's gotta chill.
Sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Critically Drinking. I'm sorry, that little tidbit at the end. That auntie's got to chill. I don't know why that got me. Inya, hello. B9 Nizzle with the eyeballs. Appreciate you. Don Frank in the building on lunch break. So I was happy to catch y'all. Definitely appreciate you. Today is going to be another little light topic day, but I definitely wanted to be here. So thank all of you. Definitely appreciate you. I am going to be talking about a conversation that was had maybe a month or so ago on Omowale Africa's channel. Kawhi Bree was present for that conversation, and Kawhi Bree's present for this conversation too. I never got to react to it, and I wanted to talk about it with Bree, but I want to get this. I'm working through my notes. I was on a lot last week. I'm going to be on a lot this week. I got a lot of stuff that I wanted to catch up on. So since y'all been showing up so tough, I wanted to show up just as tough. So I will be here reacting to 2 short videos. I have a first one by this psychologist, Dr. Guy, that talks about women and apologizing. So that's going to set the table. Then I'm going to bring up the conversation with Omowale Africa. That was interesting. And we'll pause at the points and talk about it together. So I'm going to jump right into this first tidbit. I don't apologize ever. That's kind of what you said too. That's kind of what you said on the Omowale Africa channel. But I'm going to jump right into it. Ain't going to waste none of y'all's time. And then Nia, hello. Hope everything is well with all of you this afternoon. Just quick before I start this evening, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I'm glad I said this, I'm going to put something on the community tab while this is playing. 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be over on the Wireless Woman's channel. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started while I get that posting out.
Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is why women don't apologize. I am 40 years old, and I think I can count on one hand the number of apologies I've received from women in my life. And that does not mean that I've only had relationships with honest, well-behaving, high-integrity women over the past 4 decades. What it does mean is that women seem to find it very hard to apologize for bad behavior. And this is too bad for 2 reasons. In the first place, apologizing for something you did wrong is like an interpersonal slam dunk. Almost everybody will forgive you for being wrong. Not everybody will forgive you for being right, but Almost everybody will forgive you for being wrong, especially if it means that it makes the other person right. And in the second place, apologies just seem to matter more to men. And using words to solve a relationship problem is actually a very easy and inexpensive solution, all things being equal. So, ladies, one of the best ways to earn respect and raise your estimation in someone else's mind is to admit wrongdoing when it's appropriate. And of course, to not apologize where there was no wrongdoing and the other person just disagrees or disapproves of your actions. Check out my episode, If You've Done Nothing Wrong, Don't Apologize, for the flip side of this talk. Today, I'm going to talk about why it is so hard for women to apologize. But before I do, please remember to like this episode and subscribe to this channel. It takes less than a second, costs you nothing, and it's a great way to help spread this message. So if you like what you're hearing, then please do the thing. And if you're thinking about going to grad school, then be sure to check out my GRE self-study product at stellargre.com. You can use the code PSYCH for 10% off all membership plans. Now, the reason why it is so hard for women to apologize is that there seems to be a difference in what men and women consider to be the problem. From a man's perspective, the problem is some behavior for which he believes the woman to be at fault.
Absolutely.
And as a consequence of that behavior, he is now angry and upset. The behavior is the problem, and the emotional response is the consequence. And in his mind, the solution to this problem is acknowledgement of fault and behavioral change.
Reasonable.
And I don't think that's how a lot of women see it.
At
From a
all.
woman's perspective, the problem is not the identified behavior. The problem is that the man is angry and upset. And as ridiculous as that might seem to a man, there's actually some validity to this perspective. Like in a court of law, a breach of contract by itself is generally not actionable. You have to also prove that some harm resulted as a consequence of the breach. No harm, no foul. So it's the harm, the anger and upset, that is the foul from this perspective. And in her mind, the solution to this problem is changing the way he feels. If she can succeed in modifying the man's emotional response, then on some level, that would solve the problem.
See.
And that's why you encounter the kind of interpersonal strategies that you do with women in relationships under these circumstances.
Manipulation.
Rather than apologies and accountability, you typically see a number of emotional coping strategies, like trying to cheer you up, or
Terrorism.
making your favorite meal, or sending you a funny meme.
Emotional
or
terrorism.
simply allowing enough time to pass for everything to blow over. All of these are strategies to reduce the man's felt experience of anger or upset. Do you understand? Women also notoriously use sex in this manner. Many years ago, I was out for a drink with a woman I was dating, and she decided to take something that I said very much the wrong way. She quickly escalated, and within seconds was crying and critical and withdrawn. It was fairly early in the dating process, so I was taken aback by how quickly this had escalated. However, as is my way, I didn't argue with her and gave her some time and space to emotionally equilibrate. Later that night, rather than apologizing for imputing to me something that I didn't intend, or owning up to the disproportionate intensity of her emotional reaction, or even acknowledging the episode at all, she just came into the room, took off all her clothes, and kind of laid herself in front of me. The feeling I had was that she was offering sex as a kind of peace offering to assuage my hurt feelings, rather than apologizing for her bad behavior. And in that moment, I unfortunately lost a lot of respect for this person.
See?
Because of what her behavior seemed to imply, that if I could be distracted with a bit of sex, then we could all just move forward as if what just happened didn't happen.
Like some animal.
And I got up and slept on the couch in another room. That's an example of how women apologize with sex. So, men, if you're expecting an apology from your woman, I would advise you not to hold your breath.
Don't.
On the other hand, ladies, I would highly encourage you to consider apologizing when appropriate. Why? because men respect people who take responsibility for themselves, and men very rarely receive apologies from women. So this is an easy way that costs you nothing to quickly distinguish yourself from the vast majority of other women in a positive manner in the mind of a particular man. I guarantee that his estimation of you will increase as a result. What do you think?
What do you think? NA says, "Come on, hold it. Now listen." And Nay, I know it's not hard to hear. I know it's not hard to hear, but it's so true. There's something that's so difficult for women to apologize. It's terrible. When appropriate, yes. Now I want to address this, Dawn. I want to ask a different question because I actually don't think it's hard for men to apologize. My problem, and I was going to ask this question, I have it written down, between the genders, because I think men apologize all the time. Is it worse to have too much pride to apologize or to selfishly apologize to gain favor? Because we'll apologize just to get you to calm down. We'll apologize just to get you back on our side. And also we'll apologize and never actually change the behavior that caused you a problem. So I think that's a problem that I think we do. I think we do that a lot. See, he gets it. That's the ultimate conclusion. Just apologize. You can hate it the whole time, but it's worth it. I hate doing it every time, but I do it. It makes me want to crawl out of my skin. It makes me want to crawl out of my skin. Apologize. Then we can fuck chronology. Yeah, that's a timeline. I have to catch myself from over apologizing. Ooh, now see, and this is a different one. I promise you, this is a weird one. This is a societal one. Because what I see that people say I'm sorry a lot, but not to apologize, but to try to, it's weird. I see it in conversation a lot. Like if somebody like steps, like starts speaking to, oh, I'm sorry. But it's not really like an apology, like I've done something wrong. It's just trying to like a social, like lubricant. Like we're trying to make sure everybody is still flowy. Like, ooh, I don't want to cause any problem. I'm just saying I'm sorry. Just let's stay flowy. Let's stay flowy. So I see a lot of women do that a lot in like office settings. I worked in a lot of offices. So it's like, you'll hear sorry for things that are not so. I've even said it like on panels. People apologize for things that are not like you should be like nothing you should feel sorry for. Here's my opinion. I'm sorry. Like, no, it's your opinion. It's okay. You're cool. So there are people that over apologize, but not in the way of this. What we're talking about today specifically, I did something wrong, something demonstrably wrong, and I can't apologize for it. So if you were like taking something without permission from the guy you were dating, I'm not saying that that's your character, but then he called you on it and you're like, well, you knew I needed it, so why you should have just gave it to me in the first place, as opposed to, I apologize. That was the wrong way to go about it. Like that kind of thing. This is a wild take because many women, including myself, have literally been trained to stop apologize for shit we shouldn't apologize. And see, that's the thing. That's what I was just talking about. There are two different levels. There are when you've discernibly done something wrong that can be demonstrable, provable. I've done something wrong. And when people have done something wrong, it triggers something in your ego where it makes it hard to apologize. But women especially have that thing where there's absolutely nothing done wrong except existing, and you're apologizing for it, which is weird to me because I've had this conversation with women. You'll apologize to me when you've done nothing wrong, but then when you've actually done some harm to me, you refuse to apologize or even acknowledge it a lot of times. So there's a duality there. I agree. Some just apologize for everything, but I see it in men and women. Absolutely. This conversation may be tender and triggering for the listeners. Please listen at your discretion. Are you triggered? Are you triggered by apologizing, Inya? What? But change behavior is the best apology. I totally agree. Because I see that being a problem a lot of us have. Even if we do apologize, most people don't want to make any actual changes. That's where I have a problem. I hate over apologizers, but they be projecting uncomfortableness. Yes. It's like trying to smooth out the uncomfortableness as opposed to apologizing for something wrong. Like that's kind of like where that line of differentiation is. Existing is wrong. Like, yeah, because when women take up too much space or too much space in a conversation, they kind of try to I'm sorry. And they'll keep shrinking. They'll keep sorrying themselves down until they're out of the way. It's interesting to watch. I've seen that in some interesting places. What up, yellow?
What it do?
What it is, man? How you feeling, man?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Had to take care of some things, but I was running a little behind. Was good, chat. Was good, everybody watching.
Yeah. We were just kind of talking about, and I'm glad I'm glad that y'all brought the chat brought this up, because we're talking about women apologizing. But and I'm glad Moesha and Dawn and then a few people brought this out. There's two levels of apology for me, from women especially. When a woman has done something wrong, it feels like to me women have a hard time apologizing. If you like, listen, this is what you did. This is what bothered me about it. And then she'll kind of like either double down, retract, deflect, kind of turn it around on you. And the guy's video kind of talked about that. The other one, I'm glad they brought this out, is like women over apologize a lot. Because I've said that to people even in our space in Discord, like, don't apologize. It's your opinion. You're cool to have an opinion. So I feel like sometimes in this society, especially, women where they feel like they're taking up space, whether it's like mental space or physical space, they apologize a lot when they don't need to. When they've done nothing wrong but exist, they'll apologize. When they've actually done something wrong to you, they will not. But what do you think about that little paradox, man? You think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you said it, like once you said it, makes perfect sense, right? Because they will over apologize to the collective, because they don't want to come across as, you know what I'm saying, a bad person. They don't want to come off as, you know what I'm saying, a problem, or, you know what I'm saying, somebody that can't be trusted. But when they come to their man, it's something different. But because they feel like since they're in a relationship, or like that's their man, they might look across him as something like he owes them almost that ability to act like that. You know what I'm saying? He has to kind of deal with those certain things. But they know the general public doesn't have to. You know what I'm saying? They know the general public can kick their ass to the curb whenever they want to. But with your man, you're going to push his limits because you think it's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to kind of handle this shit and not complain about it, not say nothing about it, and just be okay with everything. So that's why they don't really look at it as like they need to apologize. It's almost their place in the relationship to do those things. So
that kind of brings me back to a point. I had asked another question right before, because Don said men don't apologize either. And I actually do. I believe most men, I'm not going to say all, I believe most men, we're trained to apologize. My issue I'll say with us is we don't mean it. So like we'll apologize to try to get the woman to calm down. I see. Yeah, what's that finger? Go ahead.
Because to be like, well, men don't apologize neither. Like real talk, men be having to apologize for shit we ain't even do. Men be having to apologize for a feeling that y'all had that we did. Like we have to, like a woman will come up with a crazy ass concept of what we're thinking and what we're doing. And what we'll have to do is, I can say we don't be meaning it because it don't be shit to apologize for. That's why we don't mean it, because it don't be nothing to apologize for. Half the time we apologizing about a misunderstanding or something that you took the wrong way. Notice, like he said, we got to apologize when we have an issue with you. So, I can't go with the men don't apologize. We stay having to apologize for some misunderstanding or something like that. And to me, having to reassure you, for a man to have to reassure you on an issue that you know you tripping on, that counts as an apology too. So all of that falls under the same category.
And there's something to that. All apologies are based off something the other party felt. And then, yeah, that was funny. You can't be wrong if you're not existing. That was cute. But it's not really male or female specific. But there's something in the way we're made up. There's something in the way that we're socialized that men feel the need to apologize for a lot of different things. But women in relationship, especially, like Yella made up a good point, and I'm gonna bring it back to a broader point. I think we just take each other for granted, because you mentioned that. because you know the relationship is there. You know the relationship is there, so you kind of take it for granted. You feel like there's a level of they have to put up with my shitness, like they have to put up, because and even in the families we grow up, we kind of have that mental thought process. They have to take my stuff, no matter how foul I am, rude, whatever. People got to put up. It's kind of some level of power, authority. I'm not sure where it comes from, but there's something that people do when they don't feel like their position is under any kind of threat, like job security. Like it's like a form of job security. There's something to that. Von Eric, hello, good to see you. I thought that was interesting, but I think also men don't, when they apologize, they also have a tendency not to change their behavior. Like not just say it and not mean it, or say it if they haven't even done anything wrong. I think we say it a lot and don't change the behavior. Because I see women complain about that a lot. Like we'll apologize, maybe I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm going to do better, but then better never comes. And I see a lot of dudes do that with their kids too. I'm sorry I ain't make it to the ball game. I'm gonna be there next time. I promise. I'm gonna be there next time. And the kid on the, waiting like, come on, we got to start the game. And the kid sitting there waiting like, he'll be here. We promised he'll be here. Like, I mean, because my nephew had a few of those moments, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. My heart was just out there like, I mean, dang, I'm like, I'm here. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, there's a lot of that. Most of the stuff I've done that I've had to apologize for was not clearly right or wrong. It came down to how it was received. And so I apologize because I care about them. And that's another good distinction, Bree. Apologizing because you actually were wrong, and apologize because of the way the other person experienced it. Because I think that's something that we need to differentiate as well. I can't wait to get home so I can put my nigga in a chokehold and make him apologize for patriarchy and blame it on him. Man, I promise you, I need to talk about patriarchy sometime. I was thinking about this earlier. I was listening to there was two women talking about patriarchy. They were talking about the whole Chris Rock thing and how he's adopted patriarchy and how they did a whole critique of his thing. And they talked about the patriarchy. And I'm like, there has to be something else under the patriarchy that I'm experiencing, because most of the people that have power and authority and decision making on my micro level are women. So there has to be like a matriarchal, like a motherly face, a matriarchal patriarchy. Like there's a dynamic where there's a zone of the women, a feminine power structure from within the patriarchy. Because I'm like, man, like the teachers, the administrators, all of it. And like the women are growing in that, instead of STEM, they're going into health, education, administration. And I can't remember what the L was, but they're going into HEAL. But if they're taking over, I played a video the other day, and if they're taking over that whole sector and they're making all the decisions and driving all the outcomes on that side, then it's not really patriarchy. It's something else. I just need one other word. That's all. I need law. Don Harden said law. That makes sense.
Lazy also.
Oh, you came with the red pill today. Red pill. He said lazy. They should apologize for not signing the prenup. Mr. Rucker is in the building. Hello, Don Harden. Come through with the law. Bow. You know what? My lawyer was a lady. Literacy, it could be all of those. It might be all of them. But
lacking.
Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. He woke up. Yellow came through. Oh, Yellow. We got one. Got a warning. You didn't put the exclamation in front, You didn't put an exclamation in front. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it to him anyway. Yellow, you're getting a warning.
Don't get lost. Don't get yourself on my
All right, Yellow. Watch it. In y'all zone, you got the Misfit Minds on your kill. Oh yeah, Von Eric, man, appreciate you, man. I like the Misfit Mods in the building, man. Just shout out to the Misfit Mods, man, because y'all be dropping the hammer, quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's definitely Inya. That is definitely Bree for sure, and Nova in there because y'all be dropping the hammer so fast. But definitely appreciate y'all. So thank y'all for keeping the chat clean. Appreciate you. And again, if I know you, definitely we're gonna take you blue. You have to make everybody mods, protect people because we ban everybody. Matter of fact, now listen. Let me tell you how crazy they are. I've been banned and timed out. I've been banned and timed out by Yella. I've been timed out by Bree. I've been timed out by Nova. I've been timed out, I think, by Inya at 1.2. Everybody has got, even in my circle, I get timed out. So I just want y'all to know. Von Bryant timed me out. Of all people, I've been timed out by everybody. So understand, I know that we need moderation because I'm typically the person getting moderated. I just wanted y'all to know because Von Bryant, a man of the cloth, very even keel. He was like, I respect you, brother, but I gotta time you out. I was like, Jesus Christ. But
the most polite timeout ever.
Yeah, man. Warning, Rashad. Warning. Yep. Boy, man, getting timed out, man. Getting timed out. Got warned already.
Don't get fly. Don't get yourself on one way.
Man, getting blocked, man. But I appreciate all of y'all. Sorry, I got a scam likely call, not Destosphere. But I want to get into the main video, the main topic. Now, this was a panel Omawale Africa was holding, and Kawaii Bree, our dear sister, was there and was holding it down. But I really thought this was an interesting conversation about apologizing from the women's perspective, and it got good. But we're going to start playing this and pausing, reacting, and having a conversation about this.
Two words in the English language that you would be hard-pressed to hear come out of a black woman's mouth.
Come on. Before we go any further, is that Simon over there in that second row, third box?
Is Simon? Yes, you noticed, man. You already know it was Simon. Okay, Simon, shout out to Simon.
Simon looking like the evil version of Jeffrey from and I don't mean like from Bel Air. I mean like from a whole nother alternate universe. That's the evil. He's evil Jeffrey.
Shout out to Simon, man, who gave us this beautiful sound bite. Yeah, thank you, Simon, man. I am indeed a dime.
Can't beat it. All right. Enough of me being meaningless and distracted.
Hey, it's all good. I mean, Simon deserves a shout out. I did find out. Remember, I got a notification that somebody added me on YouTube, and it was like the food channel. That's Simon's channel, but of course there was no message there. I just keep getting random mentions that are gone by the time I look at them. So, man, he's blocked forever.
Yeah, me too. Mysteriously,
but he asked to be blocked. He asked to be blocked. I wasn't going to block him. He asked for it, so he got it.
Mouth, and they are. I'm sorry. So I want to ask each of the women on the panel. In the last 365 days, how many times have you used the words "I'm sorry" in a sentence? I'm going to start with you, Sister Hanifa.
Today. Yes, I went out. I apologize to my children.
And shout out to Hanifa. I know she is having a schedule change and is not currently streaming, but I definitely one of my favorite streamers. But I wanted to give her a shout out and show some love, man. I love some Hanifa, so let her rock out.
Husband, that's not an issue for me. I'm a very introspective person. So something happened yesterday. We had a conversation and I didn't realize in the moment, but when I went out this morning and I was in my car and I was processing it, when I got in, I said, I owe my husband an apology. Now, he did not know for what. when I said I owe you an apology, and I went forward to explain what it was, and he accepted it. So this today, not too long ago, not even 5 hours ago, I apologized.
Okay. I'm gonna swing it up to my sis Paris. I'm gonna ask you the same question.
Which I thought that was cool. You know, Hanifa is married, has a family, so you know she's we've all, if anybody who's listened to Hanifa knows that she's a mature person. So like she like, shoot, it just happened today. I apologize, I was wrong. I said it straight. So that's why one of the reasons I really adore Hanifa, because she is one of the most mature people as far as relational dynamics that I've heard speaking on YouTube, unlike some of these dudes.
In the
I
last,
just went to go count.
what was that?
I just went to go count.
Oh wow, you doing a lot of apologizing?
I do a lot of things of trying to make myself have a little bit more humility, because I come off as very hard and I'm distant, a little bit emotionally detached, and I have to find ways to make up for that.
Wow. Okay, that's mature. I'm gonna swing it to you, my aunt speaks.
Now, does anybody have that issue, finding that it's a level of humility that you lack as far as not apologizing? Is it ever just like pridefulness and ego that I'm just not going to apologize and I'll double down? Does anybody in the chat have that and willing to admit it? And she also says she has an issue with being detached emotionally. I didn't remember that first time I watched it, and that's definitely something I haven't heard from too many people, apologizing because they're emotionally detached. So like they might have missed some of the cues that they might have harmed somebody. I mean, that's actually attentive. That's a level of awareness a lot of people don't have. And Bree refuses to say, I'm sorry. What is it about the words I'm sorry that you just won't say? What is it about the words I'm sorry? Like you'll say all the other variations, but you won't say I'm sorry. What does that mean to you? Shout out to Rashana Yeller in the chat. Gotta go. Have a great stream. Hey, Brother Clarence, appreciate you. Shout out to you, Brother Rico, and OG Patrice. Hanifa is awesome. No, I'm just always right. Kids. Matter of fact, I didn't ask you though, Yeller. Do you have a problem apologizing when you're wrong?
No. No, I really don't. I try to be self-aware of my actions and my impact. That's not to say that I don't do nothing wrong, but I try to make sure that I know when I do wrong. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody has something to say, you know what I'm saying? If somebody can, if you could tell me where I went wrong, because I'm not throwing out any more random apologies for shit. So now at this point, you have to tell me why I owe you an apology. That's not to say that I won't give you the apology, but
the problem has to be identifiable and communicated.
Yeah.
It's not going to be some vague feeling. It's got to be you got to identify the action that harms.
Yeah.
I'm with that. And B9, yes, he got himself blocked, but he asked for it. I do not like blocking people. That's not something that I ever really wanted to do. But he came on the panel trying to be Kevin Samuels. It was very strange and unwarranted for the moment in the conversation. He wanted to be Kevin Samuels. He wanted to rate Bree and be real weird. It was weird. It was strange. We tried to get him on the conversation. We tried to get him on track. I tried several times. I removed him from the conversation. He came back with a different name and avatar, started being weird again, weirder. I tried to give him another chance, and at that point, he got in the chat, started talking stuff. Block me, nigga. I'm like, okay, goodbye. I was just removing him from the conversation, but he did ask to be blocked. So if he's around here, if he pops up around here, I guarantee you, somebody's going to block him, but just because of the way he played himself. An old person told me, you're saying I'm terrible or I'm a worthless person if you say I'm sorry. Like you're giving yourself permission to be trash. So I don't say it. That's interesting. I've heard people say something similar.
And you know why I cap on that? Because it's usually the people who have the worst time apologizing. See, we'll play the word magic with a lot of shit, right? You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what you're saying when you say I'm sorry. But who got the worst time trying to apologize? It's some old fart that ain't my... And I ain't saying whoever told you some old fart, but some old motherfucker who can't really, you know what I'm saying, compartmentalize where they went wrong. Old people is the worst at apologizing. So to hear that, and I've heard, like I said, I've heard that from some older folks too, and I look at them crazy as hell. So it's like, when was the last time you apologized about something? Because you stay telling people how right you is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I get it. I'm sorry, but if you also have to understand that if you hurt somebody, you put yourself in that classification too. You can't be like, I hurt you, but I'm still a good person. At some point, at some level, you was trash in that moment.
Yeah,
because you hurt them. You know what I'm saying? So you don't try to soften the blow on you by not saying I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? That's almost like it still ain't an apology then. If that's the motive behind not saying I'm sorry, then everything else ain't really an apology there. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. I'm definitely with you. New growth. There we go. Got it. I'm not in it under Critically Drinking. I'm in it under Rashawn. Everybody, I am dropping a link in the chat. New growth, Blackhearted with New Growth Old Soul, who's in the chat. He is also a content creator. I was watching his dedication videos. I appreciate that he does video on demand content. So I don't have enough time to watch all the live streams. So I do like some of the people who have thoughtful conversation, but it's in a short, digestible format. He has 10 to 20 minute videos and drops some gems in his videos. So please go and check out that link. Go over there, subscribe, check out some of his content because I've been checking him out lately. And I've been checking out Alonzo Hall, the All-Star Advisor. Two men that definitely be dropping some knowledge in their short form content. If in between, people live streaming, you want to just hear somebody talking some good stuff. Two good fellas. Of course, Alonzo Hall is going to be mostly about insurance products, about financial literacy, but it's digestible and understandable. That's what I like about Alonzo. A lot of people be talking in all this like word magic, and like you said, but boy, Alonzo makes stuff clear for me. What about the sorry if you were offended? Whoo! I do not apologize if somebody was offended myself, and I will apologize for how what I said or did landed on them. I can't take control that they were offended, but I can like the impact. I know that's like Yellow's word magic. Let me think about this, because I'm word magic when I do that, but I do not want to cause harm. So it's like I'm letting somebody know my intent was not to hurt you, and I'm sorry that you were negatively impacted. So I'm doing the exact same thing as saying sorry if you were offended. That's just not my word choice. So I'm definitely word magicking on that. So I guess I do that.
Yeah, I'll lay it. If you just can't say I'm sorry, even if it's my bad or whatever, but once you get trying to throw all that extra sorry if you were offended, then I'm looking at that weird.
Yeah.
And I see, and Bree, I didn't misunderstand the idea. That's just my perspective. You know what I'm saying? But no, that's definitely not a real apology. You know what I'm saying?
Officially, I'm home.
Yeah, that's definitely not a real apology.
If you say if you're dismissing their feelings, they already told you.
Right.
I would say I apologize, forgive me, or my bad, which is fine because for my mind, I feel like I'm holding myself to a higher standard, and I know that I can and should do better. Yeah, you definitely misunderstood the idea, but go off. No, you're sorry that I had to do the word. I'm sorry that my word magic offended you. I'm sorry that my word magic made you sorry.
Yeah, true.
New Growth and I left BMU show at the same time. Real stand-up man that has my respect for standing for something positive. Absolutely, man. For sure. Now listen. I have a thing where I want to make sure that I had to learn this the hard way. My intent and my impact may not ever match up. The way I intend the thing to be said and felt is not the way that it may be felt and experienced by the other person. So it's not if I do apologize for the way somebody took it, it is because I did not intend any harm. So I'm not apologizing for what I did. But I am willing to apologize for how it landed if it was not my intent. What I'm not going to do is apologize for the way it landed. if I intended for it to land that way, and I just want to smooth things over. Like the whole AR thing, when I was like, no, what you said was stupid, so I'm gonna call it stupid. And if you're offended by that, I'm not gonna say I'm sorry that you're offended by me saying that, because I really meant that. I really meant that. I wanted to convey that exact feeling, even if it meant hard feelings. It needed to be understood. Sometimes a comprehension or understanding is more important than the emotional safety or whatever you want to say. Those are the hardest apologies for women, honestly. I can get that. I can definitely get that. Give me a second.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
When my intent, yeah, because Bree talks about that a lot, and that's one of the things I like about Bree's channel. Bree talks about the difference between the intent versus impact, and women will operate from that intent space a lot, and not consider or dismiss or minimize the impact. And I think that's kind of almost what that psychologist was talking about. Like, I want to smooth things over so that you can understand my intent. Like, let me give you a peace offering so that you can operate from my intent. Forget about how it landed on you. Let me just give you sex, or let me cook for you so that you quit worrying about the impact. Let me lessen the impact with gifts or favors. So that we can, yeah. Most adults apologize if they do something overtly wrong. It's the intent versus impact. Yes. It's really hard for people to, and I'm not trying to drag this back into this conversation, but that's also the difference between that homophobia conversation. It's the intent versus the impact. They're saying, I don't intend to say anything hateful, even though the other person is experiencing a hateful rejection of who they feel they are, which is the impact. So that conversation breaks down in the very same way. Well, I don't hate anybody, and I'm not afraid of them. My intent, but the other person's like, but you won't let me in your house. Impact, intent, impact. So that's how that kind of plays out in life a lot of times. Let me see what this next point. Let me see the brief. So it's not actually just a woman problem. That's why most adults don't apologize. Yeah, it's not exactly just a woman's problem. Just like physical violence is not just a man's problem. But we know there are disproportionate things in each population, Bree.
Right. Today we ain't talking about the men who don't apologize. We talking about the women who don't.
Right.
Because like you're saying, that's effectively more of an issue than men who don't. Because we've already said that we'll apologize for shit that we don't even mean. So the bad part is we'll at least go through the motions. Y'all will actively reject it. That's the problem. I think that's a problem. Because the whole reason we'll say it.
These new emotes, man, they're I don't know why I find them so funny. Okay. Now you can go ahead and finish your point. I'm just laughing at that little dragon with the
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's all good.
And the last 365 days, how many times have you said these words? I'm sorry.
Well, you know.
Okay.
I'm a word person, right?
Word magic.
So I don't use the word sorry, but I do use the word I apologize because I'm not a sorry person. But I do apologize to my sister Hanifa said. I do apologize to my children. I apologize to my husband. I take a lot of time. It's a daily work for me to understand the things that I do, whether they're conscious or subconscious. So I could probably say that I apologize on a daily basis because sometimes you snap or sometimes you take things out of context. So it's probably a daily thing, whether it's serious or not. You know,
who can picture my aunt snapping? I would love to see my aunt. I would love to see what's making my aunt snap. Go ahead, what's up?
I was gonna say I can picture. That's just me though. I don't put nothing past nobody. But you know what I'm saying? I can see it. I can see it. Especially and it's just me. And this ain't the dig at Bree. You know, I rise with you twin. But that whole how I'm gonna say it because I'm not this person. It's not about you in that moment.
Facts.
It's not about you. And that's why we say it's a disproportionate problem between women, because they will have to go process and think it over and make it about them and think about how being told that they did something to somebody makes them feel. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Bree, just
I'm just saying. You can feel how you want to feel. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying don't not do your tactics. Do what make you sleep at night, right? But what I'm saying is when the other person don't react to it that way, you have to understand why that's the case. Now, my thing is this. It's easy to do that with somebody who's in it with the long haul. The reason we can't get over the hump is because people ain't even thinking to even take that step. Now, my thing is this. I get it. It's all I apologize and this, that, and it's all the alternate words. But we still don't even get to that point. So damn you with your pride, and you ain't gonna say you sorry. You don't even get to the point to where you apologize.
I like it. I like it. Speaking of like, I want to remind everybody to like the video.
Let's get into it. Right now, we should keep the likes over 50%. We should have over 4,000 likes.
Like
is an umbrella term. So like, you can like any aspects. Like you might like the like you might like the way they might like things.
like him we like.
It's over 9,000. 9,000? There's no way that can be right. It can't.
Yes, man, we up over 9,000 likes, and we about to get a little likier. We're about to get a little likier around here because we about to get some apologies around here. We about to have an apology tour. I feel an apology coming on. We got Bree, the Yellow Killer, in the building. What's up, Bree?
Like you really thought you was doing something. You thought you was really up here, like really on something.
Get the counter ready. Get the counter ready, chat.
Because the whole point of not saying I'm sorry is because it's not about you. So you talking about who you are as a person doesn't matter. So that's why you say I apologize or forgive me. And anybody who extensively works with people will usually say forgive me or apologize because it's about you. You have a choice if you want to forgive me for my transgression or not. It's not about who I am as a person. I just have to do better. That's why the old people tell you don't say I'm sorry.
You know what the
you
caveat
thought you was
to
going
that
off
is?
though. You thought
you know what the caveat is that most people are trash. That's why they're in the position they in now. See, it's a difference when you hold on. It's a difference when you can manipulate the rules and you got somebody in an agreement with you. But when you're trying to get to that point, you got to deal with this type of people because that's fine to say. But when you're dealing with somebody who's already in a position where they don't think they're wrong, now they want to add on top of the fact of how they're going to apologize to you to settle their pride. See, that's what I hear. Like, I get it idealistically. Like, and I get it spiritually. I get it whatever level you think it is, right? Because you want to say, because you're not a sorry person, I'm not sorry, it's about me. It's not, though. None of it's about you. So to even add that little sprinkle of seasoning in, you still making it about you. You're making the entire situation about you. Because now I'm apologizing, but I'm not going to say these particular words because guess what? I don't want to feel bad apologizing. Well, guess what? Then that's making you feeling bad about apologizing, overrule them feeling bad about what you did. Now, your apologizing has become bigger than the problem.
Now so you think that actual conversation goes down? No. If somebody says you did them wrong and I say forgive me or apologize, if somebody said forgive me or I apologize, would you say that that's not adequate?
No, I'm not saying
that. Not what you're seeking?
No. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
So I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'll say I apologize.
No.
I'm just going to say I apologize.
I get that. Right. Because see, that sounds different, right? When you just tell me what you're going to do, it sounds a lot more better. But you got to think from men's point of view, all we hear out of women is what they ain't going to do. So, sir, if we talking about words matter, you're approaching me with what you're not going to do first.
That
So
shouldn't
the
even
first
come
thing,
up in the conversation.
hold on. But my thing is this: intent. If we talking about intent and words, this is what I'm saying, Brie. If we talking about intent and words matter, then all of this matters. Then, right? Because if my thing is this, if you know you're wrong, but the first thing that come to mind is my pride in how I'm gonna approach being wrong, then you being wrong really don't matter that much, right? Because you want to soften the blow for you instead of just
No, I'm
taking
going to interrupt you.
responsibility.
No, hold on. No, that's not how it works. I'm simply explaining because we're having a conversation about apologizing. Why the words "I'm sorry" are not in my adult. It's not even in my adult vocabulary. I don't
Internal
say I'm
dialogue.
sorry.
Internal
It's
dialogue.
like in my structure. It's not a thing I think about. If he said, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm not going to say sorry, but I'll say I apologize. That's childish. I'm just explaining because we're having a conversation about apologies. Why I typically, because it came up in the conversation even on Omawale, I don't say I'm sorry. I've never said it since I was like 10 because that's what older people told me. Now, it's not going to come up in the argument, like, but I've also never had an adult that rejects and I apologize or forgive me to even have that conversation.
No, I get that. No, and I get that. Like that's where we gonna agree at. Like I wouldn't turn down and I apologize or forgive me. I'm not saying that, right? But there is a thing to him because I've heard this in relationships. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing where if you're able to vocalize that you won't do a specific thing, even if it's coming from a place like that, you still putting your pride before the situation. I get it if you don't do it. But the second you verbalize it and put it out there, see, intent matters. Because if you won't say it, you just won't say it. I get that. But if your goal is to preserve if your goal is to not say it to preserve yourself, like you just don't use that verbiage, that's one thing. But if you know that you're not using it to preserve some inner feeling about you, then it might be a small percentage, but your 10% comes before their 90. You put it like that. Instead of their 90 coming before your 10%, your 10%, you still got to eat first. You might get a smaller portion, but you still got to eat first. And in the long run, I don't think that, I mean, you know, it works if you don't really say it. But like I'm saying, this is an open dialogue. This is not a secret thing because we said it before she said it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a known consistency, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it's a like when they say that, they say it in the sense of like how people in the church will do you wrong and be like, we all fall short. Like it's almost like that idea. Like if you keep giving yourself an excuse to transgress people, then you keep doing it. So I think that's more so like when older people would say that, it's like you're giving yourself permission to just be out here and continuously transgress and like do people wrong and just say, I'm sorry. And then you're going to keep doing it. Like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but when the older people taught us that, I think that was the idea behind it. Not necessarily like you shouldn't humble yourself and apologize, but it's more like, well, if you say I'm sorry, then it's like everybody just has to keep forgiving you for being trash instead of actually like changing the behavior and doing better. So I think that's like when older people taught us that, I feel like that was the energy behind it, not like you shouldn't look at yourself that low. So I don't know. I'm just clarifying what the old people was meaning when they said it. Now I don't.
Yeah,
I get you. Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah, and I ain't even really arguing that. I'm just like, that's cool for then, but in 2023, if that's just what it takes, just say the shit. We know you don't mean you sorry. We will play with a lot of words. We will put other words in other places to satisfy our need and feel better and make everybody feel like they have to approach us like that. But the second we have to do it to appease somebody else, that's when it becomes a problem. So I think, and I was thinking about this earlier, and this might just be an overall thing, but the open declaration of difficulty from women is cringe. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, and And I get men, we gonna talk about them. Come on, man, it's Thursday, y'all. Come back Thursday. We'll drag them too, but we talking about women today. And what we hear as men who consume women is open resistance. It's almost like a mutiny, right? Which, if you hear us, we understand. Like, we get it. But you can't expect nobody, you also can't expect the people who trying to work with you to still want to work with you if you're going to open mutiny against everybody. If everybody on the fire arrange for you to pop, nobody's going to want to deal with that. That's why I'm like, I'm talking to, and like I said, it's worse when you get into women our age. It's worse. Because they've been on mutiny for about 10 years by the time you meet them.
I knew.
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I was like, all I heard was some feminism saying, consume patriarchy.
Yeah, take you
That's
in.
all I
Yeah,
heard. What's
yeah.
up, wireless woman?
What's up, wireless woman? Other synonyms as are take you in, absorb you. You know what I'm saying? Consume also as in consumer, because we have to fund y'all. So you're almost like a bill. So we're the consumers. We have to consume you. Again, we want to play with the words and put them in the right place, but you can't say I'm sorry because you got some grudge against it, right? I rest my case.
Hey, I wanted to say, because Dawn Harden put up something, and I think this is how I interpreted the old people's rhetoric. Sorry was a proclamation about yourself. So not even, I know Bree said you use it as an excuse or a crutch to continue being that way. I always felt that they were saying, don't speak death upon yourself. Don't speak negativity about who you are into your life. So don't say, I'm sorry. Say, I'll do better. Or, I didn't intend to do that. They would try to shape the language to be more affirming of who you were to be as a person and what your intentions are in the future. So I do appreciate that. If you ever hear me struggling with like adjective, adverb, because I know Bree uses those words a lot. Adjective, adverb, that's an adverb, that's a verb, noun, pronoun. The reason you don't hear me about parts of English, I quit going to English classes in the 8th grade. I skipped every English class after that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So adjective, I wish that word meant something to me.
It's a description of a noun, right? It's a description of a thing. It's a description of a thing. So it describes something. So you're
like a red
yourself.
apple. So red is an adjective for apple.
Yes, red is an
Okay.
adjective. Yes, and apologize is not.
That's a verb.
An adjective, right?
So okay, what is it?
Or
What
it's
is
a
an
noun.
adverb?
It's a noun. I think
a noun?
an apology is a noun.
Okay, that's a thing.
To
Apology is a thing.
apologize is a verb.
That's a verb.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's too much. I got to drop
It's
out
an
of this
action.
class.
It's
Right.
an action.
So we gotta become English scholars to take accountability.
You
then.
don't, but we like
So
we
basically,
having
no,
this
that's what it is.
conversation.
No,
You
I'm
want to pick
just-
apart why people don't want to use
I'm
an
being petty.
adjective.
That was
Y'all
petty.
and y'all men will say it's not
Look.
just about saying it. You got to do the change.
Look.
You gotta make the change.
Look. I was being petty. I'm sorry.
Like, damn, it's only Tuesday.
I definitely said something.
These days running. It ain't no days a week for me. Every day is bug up day. Every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like you want to have this conversation with somebody in particular. So once again, just remember, this is a video we're reacting to it with me in it. So if you want to get cute, I'm right here.
Ooh.
I do have a particular
Risa Neal.
Women. The all the use.
I like the H in there.
Women.
I'm not. I mean, I ain't shit. I don't be apologizing every day like my aunt because I don't be fucking up every day. But that's a lie. Every day you snapping every day. I don't
You
be
can't be
snapping
apologizing. Ain't nobody. People fuck up every day, but you ain't
I
apologizing.
mean, yeah, I'm clumsy. You know what I'm saying? I be doing like little stuff every day, but like for real, snapping on people, I don't be doing it every day.
I make daily mistakes. I got a list of mistakes that I got to do. I'm gonna go fuck up in a few minutes. So that's kind of where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? But everybody ain't apologizing every day for everything they do. And I don't expect you to, Because like Rashawn was saying, sometimes motherfuckers just take your actions the wrong way. If that's the case, then shit, I'll be apologized for breathing for some people.
That's what I'm about to say. You about to be annoying every day in a relationship. You don't have to apologize for being annoying. You know what I'm saying? Like my husband be irritating. You don't gotta apologize for that.
Yeah. I know I'm
irritating as fuck.
I'm different. Y'all got to deal with me on stream and on the internet. I know I'm trash.
I'm irritating and moody, so.
All accurate. You guys are giving very accurate descriptions of yourselves, the way I experienced you. But I do want to ask this question. B9 wanted to know. So the older people were wrong. Hold up. So the older people were wrong about inclusion, but right about not apologizing.
I don't know what inclusion. What is inclusion? What are we talking about? Inclusion.
I think we're bridging conversations because we believe the old people and their lack of progressivity. Why can't I think of the right word? Their conservative values and intolerance towards certain populations and demographics. We'd say that they were wrong about inclusion, but then we say that they're right about apologizing. So don't say I'm sorry. So we're kind of giving them authority in one realm, but then discounting it in another. We're like selective homage, selective deference.
He ain't talking about me. I listen to what my nana say. Even now, I'm talking about my nana. I ain't talking about these random ass old people on the internet. I'm talking about my nana. So I still listen to my nana. I don't know what you're talking about.
What else? But that's an actual question that we actually need to consider. I mean, considering some of the things I've seen out of elders online, that's something we need to talk about at some point too. What does eldership even mean? I know we've had conversations about age and demographics and stuff like that, but I think we need to have that conversation at some point because we give a lot of people credit for being an elder because they're older. Some people are not elders; they're just older. But
yeah, because old people can get smoked too.
Man,
I just want to add that.
Sometimes they deserve it. Sometimes people be going out of their way to be disrespectful. So we have to have examples. I think we need working examples. So before we get back into the video, we got another person popping up on the panel. Candid Ann in the building.
Wait, what's going on? Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Definitely. Sound good.
I was wrong. I'm trying to get this camera working. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You can stay avied up if you need to. I see the camera up trying to disconnect, but while Candid Ann is trying to get more candid, we will pop back and see what they say next.
No, there's some things that are more serious, but for me, yeah, I apologize all the time.
Okay, listen, I'm actually surprised.
I apologize. Wait.
I've been not about you in particular. Listen, so far 3 out of the 4 black women have I apologize story, because one thing I know about black women, y'all don't be admitting no fault. Like y'all don't be saying like y'all ain't got y'all get triggered before you say I'm sorry or admit you did something wrong.
Don't do us, Omowale. Don't do us.
I'm only saying what I know.
Do that.
I think you're getting it confused with we're right a lot. I think that's
Marcus.
what it is.
Okay.
So we're right a lot, because
matter of fact, that's what Bree said too. Bree, you and mine said the same thing.
So when you realized that you was wrong.
So is that a thing? Because Omowale said it, and I've heard it before. I can't remember where I heard the conversation. It might have been later in this one. A lot of times women, when it's time, when they've done something wrong and they've been called out on it, they'll retaliate instead of apologizing. And I think it comes up in this conversation. But why do you think it is that that's a thing that, and I don't know that it doesn't happen in other, I think that's probably a human nature thing. But why do you think that's something that's so tough in the black community?
I think it depends on the dynamic between the man and woman. Because like even when they first started talking about this, I talk about apologizing to my kids more. But I think that's because they're smaller than me and I was an authority, like a more absolute authority over them to a certain age. And then as they get a certain age, they start asserting their own will and boundaries, and you have to learn how to respect their personhood, right? And so I find that more often than not, I'm bumping heads with them as far as doing things that landed on them a certain way. Whereas with my husband, who I've known for since I was 19, I pretty much know him pretty well. I know his boundaries. I'm generally not crossing them. I'm not disrespecting him, even by mistake. So I think that it depends on the dynamic. I think if you feel like you're in a position of dominance or power, it would be harder to apologize to the person, your subordinate, I think, for a lot of people. So knowing the dynamic between a lot of women and their husbands as far as mothering them or feeling like they know everything and he doesn't, he's another one of the kids, I can see women in that dynamic with their husbands having a really, really hard time apologizing.
And hello, Candid Ann. How are you today? And what do you have for us today?
You can hear me.
Sound
All right,
perfect.
awesome.
Hey, Candy.
What's up, boo? Hey, Yella, my fella. He's somewhere.
Yeah, he said he'd be right back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so when you're talking about apologizing, you are mostly referring to intimate relationships between.
Mostly. I expanded it a little earlier because a lot of the dynamics come from a thing of taking people for granted, like kind of like job security. So I expanded it out to family and those type of relationships. But mostly this conversation was talking about intimate relationships.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For me particularly, I don't be doing nothing wrong. So
that seems to be the common refrain.
No, honestly, I don't have an issue apologizing. I really, really don't. It's not that big of a deal to me. I don't think I have that big of an ego that it's taking much off my shoulder. But what I will say is one of the things that I do, and you guys might find it annoying, or a man might find it annoying, is if I'm going to apologize, I feel the need to explain my actions. And maybe you might find like that to be annoying because you're like, just apologize and be done with it. But I feel the need to explain what my train of thinking was, because being married so long, sometimes you're thinking one thing and another person's thinking something completely different, even though you're occupying the same space. So it's important to me always to explain, like, I'm sorry, I was thinking this and I was messed up. My mind was in the right spot, right? So I apologize. I don't have an issue with it, but I always feel the need to explain like what my flawed thinking might have been, just so that you can get a better understanding of where my heart was at, that it wasn't an intentional pain that I was trying to like be annoying or hurtful or anything like that, because I don't walk around here really trying to hurt anybody, right? So that's part of when I apologize, or I'm not apologizing, like if I don't feel the need to apologize, especially when it comes to work relationships, I feel you got to be careful sometimes. So we're not talking about work relationships, but like I feel like sometimes you really got to be careful, because when you apologize in work relationships, it's like you're taking responsibility as opposed to just trying to be agreeable. And sometimes in work, I'm just trying to be agreeable because I'm not really trying to have any issues, but I'm not really taking responsibility at the job sometimes. But as it pertains to my husband, yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
You said you feel like you won't apologize until you've had the opportunity to explain.
I'll apologize, and I also want the opportunity to explain. They come together for me.
Okay, what if you weren't given the opportunity to explain? Would you still
Why
apologize?
would I be given that opportunity?
Maybe the person just didn't want to hear it. I don't want to hear an explanation. I just wanted the apology.
I've never had that, but I don't have a problem with that either.
I was just curious, because sometimes what that brought to my mind was like somebody could say, I won't apologize unless I can explain. And for me, that's a person that wants to clear their name. Like that, I have to defend myself to give you the apology, as opposed to having like, I'm willing to apologize regardless, but I'd like to be able to explain what my thinking was so that you understand how we landed here.
Right.
So I hear the difference between where you are and what I've experienced.
Like communication is so important when it comes to like a relationship. So I'm gonna hear my husband out. He hears me out. The communication thing is never an issue. But I hear you. I would not have an issue. I don't feel myself like having this reaction like, no, I don't mind.
No, that's dope. I get it though, because I've learned as a guy, it's been beneficial to find out what the woman's train of thought was that led to the breakdown in communication. Because then I can start to establish patterns and know when you're operating in a certain way that I experience one way, but you intend another, and I can get my mind wrapped around it ahead of time to head off some of those problems. Like sometimes I may know, like, well, Candid Ann is always going to try to hop out and give this person $1 if she sees a bum on the street, knowing I got to get somewhere. Like no matter how fast I need to go, I'm late, I'm running behind, and Candid Ann's like, I'm going to give this dollar to this person, and I got to roll down the window, and I got to wait for them to walk over with their little crutch. And I have to anticipate that. Like, I know this bum's at this corner. Candidate is going to have to stick $1 out because she just has to. And I can accommodate the differences and the idiosyncrasies. So I find that stuff is important. What about you, Bree? Do you have do you feel the need to always explain yourself, or is it more of is it tandemized like that?
It depends. It depends on what I'm picking up from his response to the transgression. If it seems like it's more of a heightened, like, oh my gosh, you really feel like I was like coming for you, which once again, that doesn't happen much these days. It happened more when we first were learning each other. It doesn't happen now. So I feel like if it was that bad, I would want to kind of just remind him that, like, I'm not out here trying to, be like treating you bad or do this. So I just need you to really understand. But I think for the most part, I think one of the biggest reasons we married each other is because we know we mean well by each other and we're generally not malicious people. Like, that's one of the first reasons you will always hear me say I picked my husband, is because I know he would never purposely hurt me or my girl. So that air is already clear and understood. So we don't often have those moments. But if we did, if I really feel like he was like deeply hurt by something I did, I would feel like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I wasn't trying to like hurt you. Maybe you understanding what I was trying to do will at least reassure you that I'm not out here trying to do that to you. But yeah, I could take it either way.
Let me ask you one more question, because this is where I found difficult in my interactions with women. The assumed negative intent. More often than not, if there was a disagreement, it was assumed that I was trying to be harmful. Like, you're coming for me. Like literally, why are you coming for me? I'm like, I'm not coming for you. Whatever. I don't know what it is. But they thought I was trying to try them, trying to test them. It was weird. But with both of your husbands, did you have issues with that assumed negative intent? Like you just mentioned, Bree. You think he's trying to, like, he feels like that you're trying to try him, like you're coming for him, like you're coming with harmful intent. Did y'all have those dynamics? How did y'all iron that out and even recognize it?
I think every once in a while. Well, if it happens now, he probably is peeping my energy that I'm trying to pretend I'm not in. So like if I'm like highly anxious and I get hyper vigilant, I think he notices I'm being hyper vigilant. And so when I start coming at him, he's asserting a boundary of I'm not going to answer all these questions because it's like a snowball effect to my anxiety. And oftentimes I feel like in those moments, I will feel like you think I'm coming at you. But like I kind of am. So I just have to be, I kind of have to be like, okay, this is your aim. But that's what therapy helps, right? Because like you notice that I know I'm being hypervigilant. I know I have this tendency in certain areas to be anxious about things. So I just have to remind myself, no, you picked him because he's a good person. I think a lot of that is just like time. Like just we've known each other so long that I do truly know he's a good person. And I wouldn't have married someone who I didn't feel was a safe person. But I don't believe, listening to people on the internet, I don't think most people feel like that's important. I think people are married to people that they think aren't safe. So I don't know what it's like to be married to somebody I don't feel is a safe person.
Wow. Yeah, that's I would say that for me, whenever my husband, things that would make me want things that aggravate me about him is usually when I feel like he's not thinking about me, right? When I've said like, this bothers me. Like, for instance, an example, we went to some kind of like wine tour or something like that. And the bathroom, if you've ever gone on a winery, they have like these little huts or houses or whatever where you're testing the wine. And the bathroom is just like, it's not like a airport or whatever, they don't have a proper latch sometimes. It's like a little house, and it's just everyone uses the same bathroom. It's like a little house, right? And so when I went into the bathroom, I realized that like the latch on there, I'm drinking wine now, right? You drink wine, you're gonna have to urinate. So the little latch on there is rickety. So I told my husband, like, stay outside the door because anyone can just open this door and I'm gonna be exposed. This Negro decided not to. He decided to walk away. So I'm trusting that you are outside. I'm in there using the restroom. And luckily, I'm washing my hands when someone opened the door without having the courtesy to like knock and see like, hey, is this okay? So now I'm upset because I specifically told you what was going on with this door and you're not protecting me. So then, but he I don't know if he completely understood what I was saying or what the hell was going on, but that's a situation in which I would get annoyed. But like, to be honest with you, people make mistakes. You have to have a short memory when you're married, right? You have to like forgive and have a short memory and move on to understand that like his intention wasn't to have me exposed. I just don't think he understood what I was really conveying, or really he didn't understand like the issue with the door. Maybe he thought I was being paranoid, who knows what, right? But you got to have some level of understanding, like,
I totally get that. Do you think then that people who are, I guess, newer in relationships and not to the state of marriage, that's something that we're just struggling with, the trust aspect of it? So we're just quick to pull the eject seat. We're quick to pull that.
Trust is huge, especially trust is huge. Like when a lot of you guys talk about you being the covering, you're supposed to be the protection and all these different things. And depending on, I don't care what you believe in, but you have to understand that a man is somewhat protection, right? Whether it's a lot, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whatever it is for you. I'm assuming everyone's got their own different dynamics, but when that trust is broken, it's hard. It's hard. So yeah, for women, for me, I can say as a woman, yeah, the trust thing is huge.
Right. And I think a lot of people are just insecure. And I think that insecurity in the self also makes you not be able to trust people, even if they're safe. Like a lot of times it's an insecurity, which doesn't allow you to trust anybody, basically. You have to be controlling and all of that stuff. So I think a lot of people, especially when you're single, like you're used to being in control and you're used to trusting yourself. And then you have to try to learn to offload, onto another person, which requires trust. So I do think a lot of that is insecure attachments, or like how you process actions of other people. Do you generally believe the best in people or not? So a lot of that, I think, when people are new in relationships, it's hard to switch over. I found it hard to even switch over myself as a parent with a child who's a teenager now, and switching off of that dominant absolute authority to giving her autonomy. So I think it's normal to struggle with it at first.
That makes sense. That makes sense, especially like when you're not married and your livelihood is not dependent upon that person. I could see not wanting to, like, if you're used to doing everything yourself, I could see where the ego would come from to not feel like I need to apologize for something, even if I did something wrong. It would be hard. You can start to take people for granted. I could see. What I'm trying to say is I could see how the family dynamic would change that entire mentality. They will put more weight on your interaction and communication. So I can see that. Help. My wife and kids are holding my money hostage. Not safe. I hear you, B9. Stop it. I'm going to play a little bit more of this video and then jump back in.
And you died on the hill of dead wrong.
16 more minutes of the actual video that we're going to
Yes, I mean, even if it's weeks later, I will apologize if it takes that long. Now, I've been married almost 15 years, right? So my apologies come faster than they did earlier in my marriage. So usually it happens the same day. It's very rare that an argument, because I don't like being in arguments. So it's very rare that it goes past 24 hours.
You're lucky.
Forget Simon. Let me ask both of you ladies a question. Both of you are married, because I've heard this come up multiple times in different conversations. Men will complain about not knowing that there's an issue, and it'll take the woman a couple days to process it. In the meantime, she's a little aggro, a little aggravated, and kind of dismissive or cold or distant. But like my aunt said, she's gotten to the point now where it's going to be the same day that we're going to get to the resolution. Have either of you walked that path? Are you both like the liberators where it takes a while to get to the resolution? Or are you like, I'm more
listen, I done told you, don't put this fucking thing over here. Close the cabinet doors. Every time I come into this goddamn kitchen, the cabinet doors are always open. Why do I gotta say the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again? So yeah, now I'm only telling you that story because it's something that my cousin struggled with. Right, my husband doesn't actually do that, but my cousin's husband, he would go into the cabinet and leave the doors open, go into a drawer and leave the drawer open, and it was driving her nuts, right? And she would say the same thing over and over, and he just wasn't comprehending it. But as a little joke, what she did was she came home one day and opened every single cabinet door, all the drawers. She just opened everything and didn't say anything to him, just sat in the kitchen watching, so when he came home, he saw how ridiculous it looked, and then had an understanding of how it looks to her, and that settled the question. That settled it.
I was gonna say I just went and checked to make sure my cabinets was closed.
That's
It's little things. It's always like little things that like that's the reason why.
That everybody got something.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes I'm the leave my socks like right by the hamper, dude. Just to assert my dominance, though. I try to do my best, but I have to draw the line to where you don't have 100% control of me. I will leave the socks just right there. Understand, woman, I will do this, but because I choose to. Okay?
You talk ridiculous. Toxic as fucking hell. You leave your socks outside there, they're not gonna get washed. That's if they don't go inside the hamper.
See, and then like that's how it works. Like the line of petty, like somebody in a relationship.
Being petty.
I mean, I think in my 20s I was definitely an emotional terrorist. So I've definitely walked the path to like growing up and like not being a terrible person anymore. So I can say proudly I was an emotional terrorist. I'm generally not anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, I ain't got to hide who I was. Shit, I'm 35 now. I've grown, I've changed, I've grown up. We don't really have this, but I mean, yeah, in the past, it is something that over time. But about the processing time, my husband's pretty stoic, and he doesn't have much to say about much as far as like, oh, you pissed me off. So a lot of times when he finally says something, or if he feels the need to say it, I have to process because he probably ain't said it before, and like he means what he says. So I have to like, if I'm gonna have a rebuttal, I have to make sure I'm not like dismissing him because he has a very short tolerance for feeling like I'm invalidating him. So yeah, a lot of times I do have to like process what he said, like think about it, because he's not just like coming to me all the time being like, oh, you did this and you did that. So sometimes I do have to process it.
I just want to admit though, I call women emotional terrorists for like the way they handle apologies. But Yella, that whole sock thing, that's emotional terrorism. Like that's terrorism. Yo.
Ain't shit.
That is emotional terrorism. I mean,
hey, I
do
fight
you want
fire
her to
with
wash
fire.
the socks?
I fight fire with. I could real talk wash my own clothes. I fight fire with fire.
Well, that's
I do
fine.
fight fire with fire because if it, like he was saying, if you got to do if you get to do the walk around for 3 days while you pick, because I get it, ladies, I get it. Y'all married, y'all got a rhythm with your husband. Flip the page over. We're gonna talk about these women ain't got their shit together. All right, so the 3 days of having to deal with your attitude because you won't just open your mouth and say what's wrong, or 3 days of having to deal with your attitude because you got to go process what I said, it's going to lead you to having to deal with picking up them socks sometimes. Because if I got to deal with the funny ass looks, and I know this is the where do y'all meet these women with, they just not y'all. Okay, they're every other woman other than you. Right. No, I'm just saying. No, just because I know that's the
over and over again, Yella, to move the fucking socks. What's the problem? Why do you keep putting the
Yeah,
motherfucking
eventually she's
socks
still
over
irritated
there?
about it. She just
Now you want me to
chooses
say it
not to
again?
fight about
Of
it.
course I'm
Yeah.
aggravated because I gotta be a fucking child. I gotta treat you like a damn toddler. Why do you need me to keep telling you to move the socks? I'm
Yeah,
not understanding that.
It
Why?
might be something that y'all talked about before, and she don't feel like y'all have reached a place where like it's like I'm not gonna do this, and then it's like it's still irritating as fuck though. Like believe when I see it, I'ma still be irritated,
all right.
and I might have an air about me when I'm
Sounds-
irritated.
Sounds real good. Sounds real good. As soon as you say something about them socks, why your face been poked out for the last week and a half?
Because your
Why
funky ass socks
what?
hitting the
Because
real
your
the fucking
funky ass
time I gotta
socks
walk
got
Right.
the hamper,
into
and I
it.
keep on telling you that I
I
don't
match
like it.
energies. Well, I match energy, so my funky ass socks gonna match your funky ass attitude, and we both gonna be in here stinking. Now
But see, if my attitude really was upsetting you, you would just put the socks in the hamper, right?
no, passive
Oh,
aggressive is my
okay, all
specialty.
right, well, great.
Passive aggression is my specialty, y'all. I'm just
And
saying.
that, but
like,
if she said it to you once and you decided you didn't want to do it anyway, now her only choice is passive aggressiveness because you're not gonna change it anyway. You
All right,
making
let me
your
stop
own
being
hellscape. I mean, you creating your own hellscape. But go on.
I'm there.
Right.
I'm there. I'm there. I mean, I'm there. According to everybody who's in a relationship or who's been in one, it's tragic all the way around. There's always some difficulties. Sound like hell anyway. I'm just letting y'all know. At this point, it sounds like it, bro. I'm just gonna be straight up serious. It ain't no secret that I'm trying to be single for the rest of my life at this point, because all this casual relationships is trash. You got to be nice and do all this other shit to. I'm good. I see why people don't apologize, right? Because a lot of times I'm saying I see why I don't like apologizing, because everybody's out to try to work the number for themselves. No, I'm
That's
not.
fair. That's fair.
I retract every apology I ever put out. Everybody trying to shake the
how the
number for
tables have
themselves.
turned.
Right.
Wow. Welcome to the club, Yella.
I hold a grudge. Y'all ain't talking y'all know who this is. Stop acting. I'm glad we up here together too. Shout out to Bree. Shout out to Candy. Then it's been a minute.
Welcome to the club of people who can't apologize or humble themselves.
I said I will apologize. I said I will apologize, but I'm not willing to be in a relationship no more, because I'm not going to keep apologizing when I fuck up and have to deal with somebody who decides to walk around and be passive aggressive when they fuck up. Because guess what? Whether my socks make it in the hamper or not, that's still going to be the case.
So this is the thing also, right? And, when you're in a relationship with someone, right, you could be totally right. When a woman in general is walking around with her face all screwed up and upset or whatever, if you actually care about the person and you want to be adult about it, find out why. It might have nothing to do with you. It might be because of them funky ass socks. It might be because of the cabinet doors, but it might have nothing to do with you. And she's just waiting for you to say, hey, babe, are you okay? That way she can just tell you all that's going on. Now, yes, Yella, ideally, it would be great if she could just open up her fucking mouth and tell you what the fuck is going on. That would be ideal, right? But we're not perfect people, right? So I'm just saying that you're going to make some mistakes. I'm going to have to forgive you for them. We're going to make some mistakes. Please forgive us for them. And we got to find a bridge. We got to work with one another here. And that's what it is about. That's what it's about.
I want to speak to Yella really quick, because I started this whole thing. Why can't women say I'm sorry? It took less than 90 minutes for Yella to be like, I retract every apology I ever made in my life to my first grade teacher when I didn't get my homework turned in on time. Screw you, Miss Abernathy. And when I was in Sunday school, my grandma took me to Sunday school and I stole that Coke from the back in the pop machine. And I said I was sorry to the deacon. F you, Deacon Chrysler. Forget all y'all. Now, Mr. He said, well, hello, peace to the family. Appreciate you coming through. Yella came through hot. Like, I ain't apologizing for nothing. I take it all back. You gonna eat these socks. Jesus Christ, man.
that was me being petty. I was
extra petty. Let me.
But Yella, what do you get out of being petty? If you owe someone an apology, or they're upset, what are you getting out of the being petty?
Just put that on your face right there.
What are you getting out of it?
Gonna keep petty on you for a minute, boy. Gonna keep petty on you for a minute.
I like that. There you go, the petty slot. I feel that. I feel
that's the petty slot.
I'm okay with being like this official now, so I'm the first inaugural with the petty.
Yeah. Dury Meta, hello again. Good to see you. Yeah, so that's gonna be the I like that. That's gonna be the petty slot. We're gonna keep you right there. That's the corner. Yella. Go to the corner. Yella.
I'd be cool. But nah,
Yeah,
no, real talk though, man. Real talk. It's not about me apologizing. Because like I said, I do view myself as like an empath. So being aware of my impact on people, like, you know what I'm saying? Let's stop all the bullshit. Having awareness of my impact on people is something that I take pride in, right? So I know that I'm not willing to just give out that energy right now. So I would have all the intent to, and I would really want to, because I know that would essentially just keep the train moving. Because I get it. Like in relationships and marriage, whatever, the goal is just to keep the damn train moving. Essentially, you know what I'm saying? Just keep the damn train on the tracks, right? So sometimes you gotta apologize, whether you did it or not, whether it was high impact, low impact, whatever, right? I'm not there right now because I know that the pool I'm digging in, I'm likely to get a fish that's not gonna have the responsibility factor, right? You know what I'm saying?
No, what
That's
do you mean
the
by
only
that?
thing. Okay, so like I said, I'm focusing on my group. I'm not trying to date younger women. Right, I'm not like these dudes trying to seek the 25 to 21-year-old who ain't got zero experience, because my thing ain't to teach you nothing. Right, I'm gonna need you to come into this with a little life experience, because it ain't a slow start from the station. You jumping on a bullet train, god damn it, at this point in life. You know what I'm saying? We ain't at the station. You jumping on the bullet train. I ain't saying like accomplishments wise. I'm saying like whatever we start might have to be on a fast track.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Life is moving faster. Life is coming at you faster.
Yeah. Life coming at us faster. We ain't really got room for mistakes and shit, right? So at the pool I'm looking at is 35 to 40, maybe a little over 40. You know what I'm saying? That's a different ideal set. That's a different belief system coming from those women who's single right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them are either newly single, divorced / widows, just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Or they have been chronically single for a couple years now, like 10 plus years of just single, where they was raising kids, or not, no kids, and just living their life, working, whatever. Like they're chronically single at this point, right? Both of those archetypes have no room for accepting responsibility for anything. The chronically single woman hasn't had to accept responsibility for anything in years, right? She hasn't been in a relationship. She hasn't had a consistent boyfriend. The only thing she's responsible for was her decisions. And she can make the decisions she wants because that's her freedom. That's her position in life as a grown person. The problem is that she hasn't had to share that with anybody, right? But she wants somebody to come in and kind of offload that on. That's going to be a learning curve for her. The second option is the divorcee, who's definitely not about to take responsibility for nothing she does in a new relationship because she's coming out of a relationship where she got did wrong. She's entering the dating field already with it. These niggas ain't shit. All these divorcees ain't out here like, oh yeah, I'm loving life. They ready to shit on niggas too. They ready to get theirs back. That's why they act a certain way. So when you going to deal with that, they not ready to accept they wrong because they just left a situation where they probably did get wrong. But they definitely not in a position where they going to see them doing anything wrong because you're there to make up for the last dude. Trust me, it's a different game when you playing in this age range of single. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that men don't have their things. I'm just speaking as a single man who consumes and observes single women.
Right.
Consumes.
Yeah.
You consume them. So this is the thing I would say, right? One of the things that you said earlier, you mentioned like this has to be a bullet. Like this has to be moving at this age. We moving. We gotta go, right? And I would say that part of the reason why you might be experiencing some of these with some of the women that you're going through is because she hasn't had an opportunity to really get to know you or fall in love with you. Because someone that truly actually loves you, that cares for you, like it's not a big deal to apologize. Like I don't want to see my husband hurt. Like so, it's not a fucking problem for me to say like that shit hurts me. But if you're moving fast and the person really gets to know you, you over here playing these goddamn games. I'm gonna get over on him because he don't get over on me and all this other stuff. But if you take time to spend time, have that coffee date, walk through the woods, spend a little time. You know what I'm saying? Then the person really gets to know you, fall in love with you, understand your character, understand the way you speak, the way you move. And once that's locked in, like, I can't even understand why someone would intentionally want to hurt you. So those apologies would come quick.
I'm not talking about slow burners, and I ain't talking about fast tracking a relationship. Let me kind of replace that, right? We moving fast because I don't have time for your bullshit. Let me kind of reiterate it like that, right? Like when you're doing something and you're trying to keep the shit moving, you don't have room for petty mistakes. You don't have room for trying to impose your will. You don't have room for none of that. So when I say shit is going, it's because I have my plan. I have my plan in life. You coming into my life. You're jumping onto my bullet train.
But you jumping onto hers as well.
We on the same shit. So you should be on the same shit. Even if I'm jumping on yours, we should be on the same accord.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that we need to rush and go get married the next day. That's not what I mean by you jumping on my bullet train. I mean, I'm 35. I'm going to blink and be 45 in a minute. I'm going to jump real high and be 55 in a minute. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about, we got to go get married. I need somebody who ain't trying to sit up here and have to work through their trauma to get them to be on, either you are or not at this point. Like
Everyone
either you
has
are or not.
trauma. You got trauma.
I know, but either we gonna exchange the trauma bags and you deal with mine or I deal with yours, or we just ignore them and keep moving. I don't mind that. No, I mean, Candid, it's not that.
Ignore some shit.
At this point, I would have to ignore a lot of deficiencies in women the same way they would have to ignore a lot of deficiencies in me at 35 plus.
Okay.
It's the reason why we single.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We can't get around that. Everybody is you know what I'm saying? Everybody want to deflect and act like they not part of the reason why they single. But my thing is this, at 35, I don't have time for us to slow burn and me tear down your layers and break through your trauma and get you to want to feel comfortable enough to understand that you're doing something wrong. If you fuck up, just understand what you're doing and we can move on. Because all this trying to get you to process and get you to understand it at a certain level and a certain age, you should know that it was just wrong.
Okay, you need someone that's already in touch with what's going on inside them. You ain't really trying to deal with someone that is not aware. You need someone that is self-aware, is what you're saying.
Empathy goes a long way. Empathy empowers you to do all of that. I've said it. We've said it plenty of times. Single women nowadays lack empathy. It's usually why they single. Because they don't possess empathy. So that's why they look for men who don't require empathy. That's why you hear a certain mentality fed to men that you don't need that positive feedback. You don't need that empathy. You shouldn't look for that from your woman. You shouldn't look for validation from your woman. Well, that's essentially empathy at the same time. All of it circles around the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We've been conditioned to make men think that we don't need it and make women think that they don't have to give it to us, that they should intake it all. So now we sitting here as men looking to try to find women, we looking like, okay, well, look, I want somebody to give a fuck about me too. Because that's the only reason I need you now. That's the only reason I need you. If we're going to do this, I just need you to give a fuck about me. But if all I'm doing is making you feel better about your existence and your men background and all this, I'm healing your trauma and all this. That's why I be telling you, Kennedy, and I hear them. I listen to what they're saying. You got to come in healed as a man. You got to come in whole. You got to come in this. And they come in as fucking black holes of emotional death.
God damn, black holes of emotional
death.
Ooh, Bumba clots.
Yeah, that's a good one, B9. That's the formula for getting women, but not obtaining happiness. Facts. We just get a cookie for doing what we supposed to do. Binary says you got a great point. And I would push back on what Bree is saying. It's not working through trauma. I mean, you're right. People are not working through their trauma, but that's why they can't gain trust. because their trauma is where they can't trust. So until they work through their trauma, they'll never be able to give the grace by offering trust. And that's a problem a lot of people are having in this. How this convo has turned. But it's about the same thing. The reason you can't apologize is because you can't trust. That's the reason I don't trust you to be vulnerable to you, to admit that I have a fault, because I fear that you're going to expose me or to weaponize it against me. So I won't apologize to you. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of what it would mean. It'll put me in a weaker position. I'll be weaker, so then I'll have to capitulate to something that you asked me for. It's a power game. It's a mental struggle, but it's still a power struggle.
This is why I'm forever talking about that slow burn in relationships. Yella was probably sick of my ass. I don't care. But this is why I'm always talking about, like, it takes time. I'm looking for your character. You gotta like really we gotta slow this thing down. We gotta slow this thing down because we can't control our emotions, right? But when you see a pattern over and over and over and over again, then you get to see, like, all this apologizing, like, I could take it or leave it. What I need to see is your action. So if you're gonna apologize to me, do the same shit over and over, even though I told you it bothers me, the apology doesn't mean anything to me, which is what I think Bree was talking about earlier.
Facts.
I need to see your action. And when this is where I'm coming in is, let's take time to know one another instead of hopping in the bed and being on the, not to Yellow's point, but just in general, let's take time to get to know one another, because once you really do care about someone, you would not want to see them in harm. And the apologies and the ego and all that stuff would just, like, when you feel safe, when a woman feels safe, it's not a problem. I know that and I want a man to feel safe also. These conversations have made me realize that men don't feel safe with women. Men do not feel like their emotions are safe with women.
Facts.
Right. And so that's one of the things I hope that women hear, right? And that we can change that as women. I hope that we can change that aspect, because these men are not feeling like we are safe spaces.
And that's like a very easy litmus test for us. That's why that doctor that I played earlier, he talked about men can respect you if you can apologize for something you've done wrong, because we've observed how difficult it is to apologize. So a woman that's willing and able to apologize and kind of see where she might have had a harmful impact, that shows that you're at the place, the same way I'm sure you have a litmus test for us about emotional maturity. It shows us that you're at a place where we don't have to babysit you emotionally, because you're willing to apologize. You're on a maturity level where then we can now communicate collaboratively, because if you make an error, we can fix it. Because I know I'm going to be expected to fix it if I mess up. But or do you have skin in the game too? Are you willing to fix it if you mess up? So that's definitely something where men don't feel safe. If a woman won't apologize, we learn really quickly, because a lot of times we won't cut off that relationship because we still want access to something else from that relationship.
But we'll hang, and that's really what the problem is. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, like, you know, I wish people in general would slow down in terms of like hopping in the sack, because this is what the issue is, right? Because y'all apologizing because you want me to shut the fuck up so we can get to fucking again, and I don't really want that apology. You know, so this is why I say, like, take time to get to know one another.
No, I'm with you. I want to see people start to do better, but I know it's strange, but I get it, because I'm one of those people that didn't understand certain things. We're not automatically aware. We assume. Yella said something earlier I want to push back on. He was like, when you get to a certain age, you should just know. I'm like, man, there's no age where people just know. They don't know a lot of times until somebody's told them and then showed them. And then even beyond that, they still have to bump their head a couple times until they accept it. Now, that shouldn't be your burden to have to walk somebody down that path to maturity. But even at 30, 40, and 50, we're a lot of times still having a hard time accepting just some base level of negativity about ourselves. Just something. Like, even again, I'm going to use it as an example because it's the most recent. Even that conversation with AR, where I'm walking down the path of awareness. Like, this is how you said something. This is what it means. This is how it comes across. No. So there's a flat line where people just reject everything that you showed them as far as what they said or did, what that conveys as far as somebody who listens or watches or hears, and then how it feels to the person who receives it. And they'll reject it. And they'll get to 30 and they'll get to 40 and they'll get to 50, still rejecting input from the world. So they won't just know until at some point they accept some of that information, some of that feedback. Bree always calls it the feedback from outside. If you don't accept feedback from outside of yourself, you can't develop.
And I think oh, sorry. I was going to say, I think a lot of that has to do with sometimes, not all the time, but it has to do with power and money, right? Because when you are in a position of power, you really don't have to listen to people. You should, but you don't have to listen to people as much, right? When you are the gatekeeper for the money and the finances and what have you, and what you say basically goes. So I think that sometimes, and I'm not like really trying to blame any one particular sex or the other. I'm just saying that in general, the person that usually has the power, they have less inspiration. Is inspiration the right word? They have less incentive to really listen to people that are being affected by their choices, right? And unfortunately, historically, men have held the bank book. They've held, so right now, I guess perhaps women are experiencing this nastiness because they now have control and they're acting out of character because they don't have to listen to a man. I got my own money and all this kind of stuff, but there's still value. There is still value in learning and listening and shutting the fuck up. Just because you don't have to listen to me doesn't mean that it wouldn't benefit you to listen to me. Right.
I'm totally with you. Leverage, because people use leverage and control and power in relationships. And that's what I wish people could start to understand. Like, don't look for somebody that you can have control over. Look for somebody whose person you enjoy. Like, what's that word we always talk about? Like companionship. Somebody who's a human whose company you can enjoy on a daily or near daily basis. And if you base your relationship on somebody who you valued enough to be in their company on a daily or near daily basis, I think we would have more empathy to what Yella's talking about, and then have better outcomes and behaviors stem from that. But because like Yella's talking, and you talked about it, then we're looking for somebody we can have leverage over, somebody that'll join our program, that'll support us. We're looking for somebody that just fits into a role as opposed to a real person. Because a person comes with their problems and all that. There's a lot of insecurity. We have to accept the humanity of a person, but it's really hard to get to that point if we're looking at people as some solution to some problem. Either I need sex, my dryness plus her equals sex, or I'm about a couple $100 on my rent every month plus him equals, paid. Like if we keep thinking of people as a solution to some math equation as opposed to that's a human being that has their own wants and needs, I think we're going to keep running into the same problem. Man, yeah, Shahrazad Ali was just talking about that. I think I was watching Mr. He Said on Mrs. She Said Shame Sunday. Shahrazad Ali, people's development, men and women, a lot of times they seem to stop around high school and they stop accepting new information. Yeah, there you go. Unless they accept some new and different information. You got to evolve. You got to grow.
Absolutely.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
This is where I propose this question here. So should I give a shit about somebody who's actively not trying to gain other information? See, it's one thing if they don't know the information is available. But if you've been rejecting this information and you've been rejecting this outlook for this long, then I'm not going to have that level of understanding for you. And unfortunately, that brings it back to the pool of people that we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really think it's a level of trust. I think it's a position of control, whether they got their own money or not. See, because they have an idea of they've been in power. They've been in their own power. They are empowered. Everything is about power. You know what I'm saying? So when they come in, it's like an expectation for men to almost take all the responsibility, but none of the power. If that makes sense. Right? So if she's been single for 10 years, the most she wants a man to do is come in and take care of probably her financial responsibilities and her emotional needs. But to cover her, to give up her power that she's had over herself, or power over control, power over like decision making and all say so and the final say so, oh hell no.
But Yellow,
that's not that.
The thing about it is that when a woman feels safe, she will gladly give that shit over to you.
At this point, my job ain't to, but that's what I'm saying. At 35 to 40 plus, the level that I would have to go through to make you feel safe is going to compromise me. It's going to put me in a bad place. Imagine being with a man and you got to tear down 10 years of trauma to make him feel safe with you. We automatically have to feel safe with y'all. We have to show you that we feel safe with you so you can feel safe with us. We have to give up the control first. We have to let down our guards to make y'all feel comfortable. And not you, but you know, women of that age. So that's what I'm saying. I get it when we talking about like the slow burn, and I get, and that's probably for the younger people. But at this point in time, you know what I'm saying? It's not really, that's not really what we're dealing with. And I hear like it's not in the secret, it's in the open. That's why I call a lot of cap on this self-love shit. A lot of these ideas are all rooted in like self-preservation. What I need done for me, even the y'all gonna hate this. I know y'all. Even the idea of love language. This is why I call cap on love language. The idea of love language is still selfish because it's really only structured for that person and how they want to be loved. Now, here's the thing: I can communicate to you my love language. That's one thing. I'm here. I understand the structure. I get it. But if you step back and look at them all together, a summary of all of them is empathy and respect. All of that comes down to empathy and respect. Now, depending on how you want to be loved, because guess what? Even the people who like physical contact don't like physical contact all the damn time. It's a blend of some. Women can say, well, I just like physical contact and I just like, what's another one? What's one opposite?
Words of affirmation.
Right. I like words of affirmation, but if he don't get you shit in 10 years, you're going to look crazy because you like gifts too. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same thing. So when I say that it's selfish in nature, it's still based on the person receiving the love that does not show you how to love other people. Because I can tell you how to build a house. You can't build it for me. I can tell you how to love me. That doesn't mean that you have the tools to accomplish it.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, right, when I read that book, there's two things that you have to do when you read the book. One, you have to be aware as you're reading it, be aware of your own love language and what makes you happy. And then secondly, you have to humbly submit to your partner and decide like, okay, I don't really like this, but because it's important to my partner, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So those are the two things that you have to keep in mind when you read something like that. That's if you give a fuck about the person. If you really want this relationship and you really want this situation to work, I have to be aware of the fact that, okay, I like work. What do I like? I like money. I ain't gonna lie. I like money, but I don't really need you to get me money. I just like safety and security. Is that a thing on there? Some kind of safety and security or some shit like that?
That's not love languages, but that's a need. That's a
currency.
That's a need though.
Currency. I like US. Yeah. I like right. But the thing about it, I don't need someone to get. My husband hasn't given me a Christmas gift. I think one time I've been with him for 25 years. I received a Christmas gift once because I don't really need stuff. Right. I just need to know that our house and our situation is safe. right?
You get no
But
gifts. You don't get no gifts though. You don't get no
no, I
gifts.
do get don't get listen. I do get gifts. We exchange gifts. I give him a
Right.
gift for his birthday. He gives me a gift for my birthday. We
Right,
exchange
right,
gifts.
right. So
I don't
I
need
understand. I understand not the
yeah.
atypical. I understand that not the
Yeah.
atypical. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying. I just want to make sure it's clear on both sides because I get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
atypical. At this, the
Yeah.
Christmas is what it is after being together for a certain amount of time,
Well,
right?
Christmas
I
is what
get
it
that
is.
part, right?
Yeah.
Right,
It's for
right,
kids.
right. But that's not to completely negate the fact that you would like shit every now and then.
No, like if you know me by now, Yella, Arshawn, what do I want? I want fucking perfume.
I'll say money and perfume are the only two
Money
things
and
I know.
perfume. It's not that hard. Don't do no different shit, please. Just get me some money and perfume. I don't even need the money. I just want the perfume because I make a decent salary. I don't even need the money. I just want perfume.
So you've been sitting at the vanity for a couple of weeks and you watching your bottle go do.
My
And you like,
bottle.
okay. I mean bottles. My bad. Bottles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But you got your favorite. Everybody got their favorites, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody got their favorites.
Okay.
So you watching them bottles go doop, and you like, okay, if they ain't got me some perfume.
Perfume.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying, but it's even look, I'm gonna get them a B9 from the macro to the micro level. There's still something that you want. There are still trinkets and objects of love that would be nice to see come through the door. And if it just all of a sudden stop, there will be an eyebrow raised. You want it. Just wait, you ain't got me a perfume in like 4 years. Hold on, let's go on over here and talk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't saying do that because but it would be something. So that's why I'm like, so I mean, I get it, and that's just this is my little thing. It don't matter. I know I'm being meaningless and distractive, but
go for it.
That's what I'm saying. That the whole that's what I'm saying. The whole idea of it is still rooted in like a self-need, because you said one thing, and then I'm gonna back up and shut up smoke for a minute.
No, go ahead.
You said one key thing when you was explaining how to approach the book, and you said a willingness to submit to your partner.
To humble yourself and submit.
Humble yourself, right? Now, I don't even use them words, so I'm not finna double back and say them again. But do you think those qualities apply to the women in that certain age range that's been single?
I hate this
that face.
I hate this question. Listen, I'm going to take your guys' word for it because I've heard over and over and over again you guys saying that this is not what's going on out there. So I'm just going to take your word for it. That's not what you're seeing, right? So I'm not going to fight you there, Yella. Like, if that's what you're telling me, Arshawn's telling me the same thing. My brother, who is single and 42 years old, telling me the same goddamn thing. And you guys don't even know him, and I'm hearing the same thing over and over and over, that I submit that there has to be an issue out there. I'm not really trying to fight it. So I'm not fighting it. I accept it. That's what you say. It's unfortunate. I don't know what else to tell you, but I accept that that's what you're seeing out there. I hate it though. I hate it. The face is because I hate it.
It's hard, and I get it. Us dudes do it too. It's hard to accept that the group that you identify with is a problem. It's like when people start talking about black people, we all start getting a little itchy, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why you got
exactly.
Even if they're
like,
right, even if they're right. What up, Truth? And I also want to shout out to T-shirts by Nikki, Mrs. She Said in the building. Her husband called her name. She showed up, man. That's a connection right there. He was like, man, put it on a T-shirt. T-shirts by Nikki. Felt somebody talking about me. Hey, I love that kind. I was like, I love it. I love it. People do get more set. But I'm gonna argue. This is a sidebar conversation, y'all. I'm gonna argue for the love languages, Yella. I'm gonna argue for them every single time. Now, I agree with everything Candidae said. Although it is selfish, it's also selfless at the same time, because it's a symbiotic relationship between two people. I have my needs, you have your needs, and we connect those needs together and attend to each other's needs. That's that humble submission that Candidae is talking about. But if I do not know what my needs and wants are, in relationship to how much I value each of them, and you don't know the same, we're going to run into friction at some point in time. So it's selfishness in service to selflessness. So that in the selflessness in service to selfishness, like it's a yin and yang. This is a thing that you need both and, not an either or. So like I really believe in it, but I've also wanted to change it from, it's not a love language to me. These are affection languages, because doing these things don't mean you love anybody. Like physical touch doesn't mean you love anybody. Giving words of affirmation doesn't mean you love anybody. Buying a gift doesn't mean you love anybody. But they are things that are seen as signs of affection. You have some sort of a care or concern for the person, even if it's selfish. Like, I want to have sex with you, so I'm buying you this gift. It's an affection, but it's not a love. So even though love language is how it's applied, I think it's a word. These are 5 forms of affection. So that's where I would modify it.
And you got to be a little selfish in a relationship, you guys. Let me tell you, you cannot give everything over to someone. So when you talk about self-love, Yella, I know you're talking about it from like a really negative aspect in terms of like people neglecting others because I'm gonna do what I want and naming it self-love. But there's certain things that you got to do to take care of yourself because you love someone. Like I always talk about for instance that or whatever. Like when I come out of the shower, if you greet me with a glass of wine, we finna fuck. Like, you already know when I'm showered up, I got the lotions and the potion, and I'm smelling good. Like, just bring me a glass of wine and it's on, right? So I have to take care of myself. Like, I have to do these kind of things because if I want to have this interaction, I want to like be with my husband or whatever, I got to spend time to buy these lotions and make myself feel good and scrub my body down and get it presentable because it makes me feel good. It makes me want to like, let's not, I'm old, so I ain't gonna say what I say. The leg behind like a turkey and some chicken wings and all kinds of shit. But there's a couple of things that you have to do for yourself in order to be in service, like working out. You guys hear me a lot talking about working out and being at the gym and being, like those are things that you're doing for yourself, but it's because we want you around, because I want to see you healthy, so you got to be selfish a little bit. There's a selfish aspect of being, we're not out here trying to like just give everything away so that you don't feel fulfilled, so that you don't feel like you're recognized, but I know that you're talking about something different.
I know Yella would flip his lid right now for a blunt rolling woman. If a blunt rolling woman came into his life, that acts of service, if he did not have to roll a blunt for the next 10 years.
Now he understands that we talking his love language. You got him.
The controller batteries never died. The controller batteries never died. And the blunt stayed rolled. And a cold drink showed up every 15 to 30 minutes.
Lordy. Let me sit. I'm a mute. I'm gonna go sit in that one for a minute.
Let's not talk about nothing for 5 minutes. Let's just sit in that right there.
Cause y'all, I'm telling you, they look. I let y'all have that one then. Just on that point, they can't. Breathe to find a woman that just know how to roll me up nice. Look, B9. You know what I'm saying? That same replace me in that situation with Candid Ann and a glass of wine. She just walk in and hand me a blunt. I'm chilling in the shower, or I smoke whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? If I'm just chilling and she come bling me a blunt, I'm playing the game. Okay, I see you in about 15 minutes. Hold on. I know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Look, damn. All right.
That would be her recognizing your love language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a way to make the other person feel valued. That's why I say it's affection. It's a way to make the other person feel valued. And it gives language so that the other person can know the best ways to make you feel valued. And you're right. All of them exist, but they exist in a proportion. One of them is your dominant one. One of them you could go without for a really long time. You know what I'm saying? But that's all it is, man. That's all it is, a template of the way to best please you. And that's what game is. Game is figuring that out to exploit it to get what I want. And it's probably sex. Game is just figuring out the things that make you feel valued. If it's telling you, hey, baby, you beautiful. You look so good in that dress. Your words of affirmation. If you don't respond to that, I'm going to move to the next thing. Let me buy you a drink. Okay, that didn't move you. Oh, these dudes look. Let me walk you to your car, active service. So you just cycle through the love language until you find the thing that unlocks that person's attention. That's all that is.
Yeah, because look, I get it, but I get okay. So I get the theory, and I'm still with Rashawn on the idea of love language, because that ain't love language for me. That's get you pent up on the wall language.
That's affection.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's erection language.
But listen, even so, you would know that woman cares for you, right? So it's not just, I mean, that's the action that it leads to, but like you would know that she cares about you, she's thinking about you, it's for you, it's an act of service for you, you know? I love that you made that connection, Arshawn, because I think a light bulb went off.
A light bulb, shit. I just look. He know that's at the top of the list, though. Goddamn, she can be like a 5. She can be a 5 all the way around, bro. She can roll up. Goddamn it! Look. We make it work. We make it work. We will make it work. Goddamn.
Yeah. Let me really quick bring that conversation back in. We have about 16 minutes left to react to. I don't know how much of it we will actually get to within the next hour, but let me add that back to the stream. I definitely appreciate the conversation. Y'all are fun to chit chat with.
All right. Let me swing it up to my sis Bree. Bree, same question for you. In the past 365 days, how many times have you said the words "I'm sorry"?
Unfortunately, I've had to apologize a few times. We practice respectful parenting, so my kids be like, like part of it is, I respect them, they respect me, modeling respect, modeling accountability. So if I'm wrong and they call me out, I do have to apologize, and I hate it every time, but I do it. I just don't, I just kind of be like, oh, I'm right, but they be like, no, you be dead wrong. So I hate it. So that's why I know I do it.
You spoke about your kids, but I'm more so talking about
and the hubby.
Okay, you apologize.
Yeah, the hubby. Yeah, he calls me out a lot. Well, a lot of times he travels for work, and like sometimes I'm a procrastinator. I'm a terrible procrastinator. Something I get called out on a lot is like he'll tell me to do something, and I'll like go do something else and forget, and then he'd be like, "But didn't I tell you to do this? Didn't I tell you?" And I'll have to say, "All right, forgive me." I don't like to say I'm sorry, but I'll say forgive me. And of course he always does, and I hate it.
All right, listen.
I hate it every time.
Lucky man.
We got a psychotherapist on.
I want to ask about that part right there. This is gonna be like a derailment a little bit. Bree said something, and we've had this conversation, especially with Bree, because we had this whole dialogue. Oh, we had this long exchange. I think it was even on AR's panel sometime about unconditional love for children versus the spouse. And the first thing, again, they were talking about romantic relationships, she mentioned the kids. And that's what Omawale said. Why does it seem like that there is so much love, attentiveness, deference, respect offered to the children, but not to the spouse a lot of times? That seems to be a common thing.
Yeah, but the children are young. They're learning. Like, come on now. Just same way that Yellow was like, hey, by this age, if I got to teach you X, Y, and Z, like if you haven't already learned that already, like the kids, we don't have any expectation that they're still trying to form right and wrong and understanding, and like they're still learning. So we give them a lot of grace. And I don't have kids, so anyone is free, feel free to disagree with me, but I would imagine we give them a whole heaping lot of grace. There's an expectation, sometimes a wrongful expectation that, like you said, Arshawn, elders, they're not all elders. Some of them are just old, right? There's an expectation, unfortunately, that we expect people, men that are of our age, we expect you to know better. Might not be the right thing, might be wrong. I understand that, right? But there's still this expectation, so we treat you differently.
I get you, Kenzadan. I get you, but I know there's a lot of grace given to the kids. Like you said, they're kids. But the person that's in the battle and the fight of life with you, don't they deserve the same type of respect and love and grace?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so, but
Not
it's kind of like,
unconditional though. Not unconditional, but yes, definitely.
but my thing is like to the end that you have it in your wheelhouse to offer. If anybody deserves it offered, it's the person that's in the fight with you. So a lot of men have rejected a lot. Well, in the manosphere because they're vocal about it. So I'm using the manosphere because they're vocal about it. A lot of men see this. You have the ability to offer these soft skills to your children. You offer these soft skills to your girlfriends, and you offer these soft skills into your place of employment. But then you'll come to your man and make demands as opposed to using these same soft skills. Again, very generally. Not everybody is to the same pitch. I'm just saying that's a tendency in this culture. How can we account for that lack of, because that to me, that's a complete lack of respect. You respect the job, you respect the children, and you respect your girlfriends. But you can't tell me that you'll offer it to everybody else but me and tell me that you respect me.
I hear you. And it's wrong. Unfortunately, there's just a different expectation that women have of men in our minds. And maybe expectation is not the right word, but that's the best word I'm having right now. And because of that expectation, we navigate in a wrongful manner sometimes. So at my job, I know what my role is and I know what my boss's role is, right? I don't think that women always understand what a man's role is in their relationship. And when they get that fucked up, they then do shit and cross lines, cross boundaries and disrespect a man. So I feel like that's really what the problem is oftentimes. And
check IG sorry, Ken, check your IG real quick, B9. Please continue. Forgive me.
Yeah, no. That's basically it. I don't have to be more long-winded than that. I think it's just a wrongful expectation. But I'm not, listen, let me say this. I'm not saying that our spouse should not get grace. Okay. I just don't believe in unconditional love. And when I say unconditional, I'm not talking about you make a minor mistake and I'm about to divorce you. I'm talking about like egregious, ridiculous, like you're beating me, you're gambling away all the money and we're destitute, the mortgage is not being paid, you were lying and now we're 6 months, they're about to put a lien on it. I'm talking about like crazy, egregious stuff. I'm not talking about he ate my steak and he knows I like perfume and he didn't buy me none this year or some dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? So when I say unconditional, I mean like because I'm in love, because I want the best for him. Even if it means me sacrificing some stuff for myself, I still want the best for him. And I'm in a situation in which someone would sacrifice for me. So that symbiotic thing, it's here, right? So when I say unconditional love, no one's beating my ass. No one's beating my ass. There's no situation in which I'd be on here and my husband beat my ass one time and I'm going to say, I forgive him. If you want to do that out there, y'all do it. Me? No, I'm not doing it. There's no beating my ass ever, not once. Right? So it would be something really, really egregious like that. Not just that, oh, he forgot and I didn't really like this. Because we could talk about all of that. We could work that out. Okay, I just want to make that clear because when I say unconditional, I don't want people to think that it means like you're walking on a fine line around here. Like, be yourself, be comfortable, just be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Hey, real quick, I'm gonna just push back. I'm gonna let Yellow jump in. Bree, now we're wired to be that way with our babies. Like again, for survival, that's cool. That biology thing is cool. But then you're gonna have to explain to me how that same type of love and grace and empathy and all those soft skills get employed at work and with your girlfriends, because you're not biologically wired to work in an office. You're not biologically wired to be an employee or to be in a sister circle. Like those are not biological wires. So babies, cool. I'm willing to accept that for the babies. If babies were the only place that got the preferential treatment, it'll be one thing. But men are noticing these soft skills being employed across all these other zones and sectors, but not when it comes to the relationship. So I'm just like, so I'm with you to a point. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump in.
I was gonna say, Canada Ann is right though. Like Canada Ann is right, like where she's standing there, because I don't think it should be viewed as like unconditional anything, right? Because then that unconditional means, you're basically put up with shit, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? to almost mansplain the mansplain from Rashawn, though, I would look at it like this.
Alpha splain.
Yeah. So think about it like this. It's not so much of a respect as to where you give them grace for the mistakes that they make. As far as like your friends, your kids, or whatever. Because I'm gonna zoom it all up in one. I think if you look at it like this, you don't openly cross boundaries in that scenario. You don't openly cross your kids' boundaries. You don't openly cross your friends' boundaries. You don't openly cross boundaries at work. Before your man is fair game. His boundaries are crossable. His boundaries are testable. You feel what I'm saying? So that's kind of why that aspect, because I can understand with the kids and mom being protective over the kids. That's ain't no argument over that, right? Regardless of how you look at it, that's just how they're gonna be with the kids. As far as like giving them 100 miles of slack, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with that. That's why I'm like, don't call me until you need some asses whooped. Like, you know what I'm saying? For real, because you do that. Just get them whatever they want. Don't call me till you need some asses whooped. You know what I'm saying? I'll be there for all. I'm in all the other stuff too, but as far as like the discipline shit, just don't. Well, no, you got to do all that stuff. But I'm just saying, I get that because sometimes mommy gonna jump in and do her thing. I can respect it. But that's because that's been my whole thing. Women are habitual line crossers when it comes to men. They don't do that with everybody else.
So let me say this also, right? Arshawn, I hear what you're saying, and I've heard this conversation about like, you know how not to cross your boss's line, you know how not to do it with girlfriends, and there's validity. There is a validity there. But I will also say that an intimate relationship with a man is the most intimate relationship. Like I know like I said before, I know what my boundaries are with my boss, right? But in a male-female romantic relationship, it is so intimate that you really have to make sure that you're dealing with a woman that understands how to carefully deal with this intimacy. Right. And that's why it's like you can do it at your boss, you can do it here, you can do it there, but this is the most intimate situation. I don't fuck my girlfriends. I don't suck, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't do all these different things.
The lines are more blurred.
Yeah, I guess
connect.
So you have to have someone that is capable of dealing with the intricacies and the intimacies of a relationship. That's why when people say like, you know how to do it with your boss, you know, I hear you, but not like there's a little bit of like, well, you're a little bit more important than my boss, right? We do a whole lot. We talk about a lot. You know me way more than my boss. You know, so there's a higher expectation of men, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the expectation is a lot higher.
And I think because you're right though, the expectation is higher, but that value of that relationship is lower.
Ooh.
Because those women will fight for all three of those other relationships.
Ooh,
will go tooth and nail for all three of them other relationships. So that's right. That's where the whole crossing the boundaries.
I'm a fan. I'm not getting a fan.
And that's what I mean by respect. It's respect.
That hurt.
That relationship is not respected.
Right.
There's no value. There's no regard. It's just like you're a thing.
You know what though? You are 100% right. I never thought about it that way. But the problem is, and this is not me making an excuse. This is just me woman-splaining. The problem is that we think you're easily replaceable. Right? Just like men say, like, you know, we're easily replaceable. So the value of the intimacy, it feels as if like I can go get me another job. It's not a fucking problem. Right? These girlfriends, I cut your ass off, or we could, right? But with a man, if that woman feels like you are easily replaceable, that's when she's going to do right. I don't feel like my husband's easily replaceable. I don't feel like I can find another one of him. So I'm gonna keep myself straight on a straight and narrow. I don't need you to correct me. I got myself good. I don't feel like I can find another one of you. Right. So what you said there makes absolute sense, and I agree with you. the problem is that unfortunately people feel like you're replaceable.
Irreplaceable.
I mean, you can get another man, but you can't get another Yella. You can get another man,
Right.
but you can't get another Arshawn.
Right.
And that's really what the problem is, that we're not really seeing people in, you know, we're trying to replace the person and not really the personality. Or maybe I'm saying the wrong thing, but I'm trying to replace the man and not the person inside that I'm looking at. And that's what the
Yeah.
problem is.
We find we're replacing parts instead of the
Yes,
person.
exactly. That's
I can
perfect.
replace your parts. I can replace all your parts. I can replace your
Right,
wallet. I can
finding the
replace
day.
your penis. I can replace the person that takes out the
Exactly.
trash.
Right. But I
Because
can't
your person
replace
doesn't matter.
Arshawn.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You hit the nail on the head, Yellow. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's good. Should everyone receive grace equally? Before I left the workforce, I was a very disrespectful employee. Before I left, I apologized for being so rude. So should it be equal? Have you apologized you said before you left, you apologized for being disrespectful. Did you apologize as readily in romantic relationships? Is the question. But should everybody receive grace equally? I'm not even going to say equally. Everybody should receive grace in the measure that's necessary for the continuance of the relationship. I mean, it shouldn't be a tit for tat because somebody might not need to receive as much grace. Like Bree said, she would never apologize as much as my aunt, because my aunt said, I might have to apologize every day. Well, maybe they have an infraction and a conflict every day, but maybe Bree would never do that. So equal is, we try to do that whole 50-50, 100-100. The math doesn't add up like that. That's not the way life works. Somebody's going to be more interested in the other one. Somebody's going to give more than the other one. So equal is specifically, I want to talk about that word equal. No, but it should be, I guess, equivalent or fair. There's probably a better word, but that's what I would go with. I'm gonna add Bree.
I'm driving. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, Yellow Killer.
I have a question, and then I'm gonna drop off because I'm driving. But
Okay.
I want to say that I feel like I hear what your argument is, but the reason I even brought up the respectful thing, even in that video, is because my understanding is most women are not operating from a place of respect for the emotions of their kids nor their husbands. So I think
get
to
that.
make that argument that like a woman who's going to respect her kids is not respecting her husband, I don't think that's true. Because what I found is most women won't apologize even to their kids, especially. Like even if they'll apologize to their husband, they usually want to apologize to those who are beneath them, like as far as you're dominant over your kids. So I think my whole point is saying that is because I don't think that there's respect. I don't think most women operate from that kind of place of respect in the first place. So I can hear your argument, but I asked all of y'all, like, did your mom apologize to you? Did she respect your boundaries? Because to say that like women are giving kids all this respect and they're not giving their husbands that is kind of a fallacy to me, because I've listened to most Black people talk about their parent relationships. So I just was wondering, like, where was your argument really coming from? Because as far as me, yeah, I speak that way about my kids, but I also respect my husband. So I'm just trying to figure out where the argument that women are showing kids all this respect that they're not showing their husbands. Because my experience is nobody getting it. I don't.
Got you. So I'll clarify my point, because I didn't say they offer the children respect. I'm saying they respect those relationships. So they respect and value the relationship with their children. They will tend to it. They will sacrifice for it. They will do things in service to the relationship of the job, the sisterhood, the family, the child. That same respect and regard for the relationship is not offered to the one with the man. So not to the person. I'm speaking
like
to the relationship.
Like so, like
because
effort.
Yeah, because like if your boss is Bob, if Bob leaves, you're still going to give that same respect when Heather comes in and replaces Bob. So your boss at work is going to get the same level of cooperation and all that deference and whatever you bring to the job, you're going to give that no matter who the boss is. So it's to the role and the position, the relationship. It's not to the person. And that carries out in every aspect of your lives. It doesn't matter if your girlfriend is Lisa or Marina or Keisha. You're going to give her that in irrespective of the person. And no matter which child it is, you're going to give a certain level of respect to that relationship even if you don't respect that person, like I really can't stand my third kid, but I'm going to maintain that relationship because I expect certain things from them, and you're going to maintain it. But with the guys, generally speaking, not all, this is a some, not all, this is a generalization. A lot of times, like we talked about, it's a replaceable part theory. Is a replaceable. I can find another you. You need to get your act right. I don't know. He lost his job, but he got I'm gonna give him 60 days. There's a lot of willingness to discontinue, willingness to disengage. Like you would never be so quick to be like, I'm about to leave this job simply because something happened you didn't like. You may say it, but it wouldn't be like a really, I'm gonna just quit without anything else lined up. I'm just gonna walk away. You wouldn't just walk away from your kids. You wouldn't just walk away from your sisters. You wouldn't just walk away from the job. But the guy, he's got a very small window of tolerance. And B9, it says your device is not connected.
Okay, I understand. You more so mean like I hear what you're saying is like effort, because one, I can't really walk away from my kids, right? But like,
but you
I understand what you mean. I mean, no, you can, but like,
but that's to my point. That's to my point. Like I can't walk away from my kids. That's to my point. To even have that internalized is that's not a truth. Lots of people walk away from their kids, and you can, but you've internalized, I would never walk away from them. But how many people say that exact same thing about their man?
Exactly. I get it. So you're saying, okay, I got it. I just wanted to clarify because I was like, I don't think women respect anybody, honestly. Most women don't respect anybody. But I'm gonna go. Thank you for clarifying.
You got you, Bree. Appreciate you. What up, B9 Nizzle, the GOAT in the building? What is up?
Man, I refuse to take your title, especially after the last week that you had. You are definitely the GOAT. It is hands down. But I'm glad that Bree called in. I was having some difficulties with my computer, but I'm glad that Bree called in before I called in, because she actually pointed me in the direction that I wanted to go in with this, off of what Yella was saying and everyone else. It kind of ties everything together. I've been adamantly listening in to the goings on over the past week, and that's why I wanted to give you and Yella credit like I did. But I also want to point out that is the whole point of why I came on YouTube, to point out real leadership versus leaders. See, everybody wants to be involved in leadership, but they're not necessarily leaders. You got a lot of fake wannabe leaders that have the best intentions, but they don't have that ism that you speak of. They don't have that it factor. So they're faking it. You got a lot of Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons trying to be Martin Luther King. And I purposely disappeared from YouTube so that I could listen. I've been telling y'all since I came here, I listen way more than I talk. I wanted to see what was going to happen, how all of these quote unquote leaders were going to lead and where they were going to lead us to. Pied Piper, right off a cliff. And so they conflated all of these messages, but their intent was actually good. But where they made the mistake, and what y'all pointed out and why I'm giving y'all credit, is you don't ever disrespect people. Have all of the morals you want. Have all of the standards that you want. But when you got to disrespect people to hold on to your standards and your morals, are they really standards or morals? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Everybody's entitled to live their own life, especially if they're an adult. But what are the consequences of those actions? What happens when we actually play this shit out? The only thing that matters, I've told you before and I'll say it again, is the results. And no matter how good my intent is, if I shoot you on purpose or I shoot you by accident, both of them hurt. Both of them gonna need medical attention. Me saying oops or sorry does not make the pain go away. That's why you have to be proactive versus reactive. These aren't just fucking slogans that I'm saying. This is real life shit. And I'm glad that people find it, the slogan in it, because you'll remember it. But it's not to be a jingle. It's you remember it so you can live by it. Simplicity. And that's the whole argument that y'all are having now. In any other country, you take out child and you put man there, there's not a problem, is it? Because in every other country, the people hold you responsible for disrespecting your man. The other women of that culture say, she's not a good woman. Look how she treated her man. Well, over here, it's child. Bree was absolutely right. Women definitely disrespect their own children. But let enough women jump on that woman for disrespecting her children. It ends right then and there. She will turn a new leaf. But where are the women that are jumping on any woman for saying, don't talk to your man like that? Don't disrespect him like that. He just worked 12 hours for you and he got to make his own meal. Damn. Where are those women at? But you tell a woman that, yeah, my son was at school all day long. He learned his A's, his B's, and his C's. But he had to come home and make his own damn meal. What? Child Protective Services, beep, bop, boop. It's all about society. I learned so much from you last week, Rashawn, because you made me think of things that I'd never really looked at before. And I always say, you're allowed to change your opinion when new information comes into the fray. I've given the example 1,000 times and I'll give it again. If I offer you all $1 million right now, all of y'all gonna raise your hand. But if I tell you I'm gonna shoot your ass right after I give you that million, watch how many hands go right back down. And you have that right because new information allows you to change your mind. What you taught me last week, Rashawn, and you, Yella, and you, Candid Ann, too, because you was on the platform too, and others, is that the true definition of a man has nothing to do with masculinity. I agree with Conscious TV. I agree with, I can't remember the other gentleman's name that was with him. Please give me his name. Reckless Logic. I agree with both of them on a lot of their points. But the one thing that I do disagree with Conscious with is that femininity and masculinity cannot exist in the same space. They're oil and water. But it doesn't matter because he's still a man. End of story. Whether he's a feminine man, whether he's a fat man, whether he's a tall man, whether he's an immature man, I hated the semantics of, whoa, we talking about a man or we talking about a male? If we talking about anybody that's over 25 years old and can't be on anyone else's insurance and has a penis, or was not even has one, but was born with a penis, they're a man. End of story. End of story. Might not be the type of man you want to hang out with, might not be the type of man you like, might not be the type of man you want to associate with, might not be the type of man you want to raise your sons to be. Still a man. And What you made me think of, what y'all didn't bring up? What if we had a whole world full of the brats? What if we had a whole world full of homosexual women and homosexual men? We could still procreate. Do they have to like each other? Do they have to raise with each other? Do they have? No. And what we have to realize is that we are in desperate bargain basement times, man. All of these idealistic fantasies and this and that, throw that shit out the window. That's what needs to go out the window with the bathwater. All the bullshit. Throw the bullshit out with the bathwater. Because we high and mighty. And I'm jumping around a little bit, but I got a lot to say, so forgive me. I love you, Mandrill, but this shit is your fault. And no one else has said it, and I'll say it. This is your fault. Now, did you mean to do it? No. But you got to be smart enough and enough leader to know you don't bring the Black Panthers to a Klan rally and expect a kumbaya moment. What you did was so Jerry Springerish. And I refuse to believe that a man of your intelligence and of your worldliness just had that oops moment. I refuse to believe that shit because I think very highly of you. So I'm holding you accountable for that. And I've been going back and forth between the panels of how you've been flip-flopping too, sir. What you say on one panel is not what you say on the other panel. You cannot ride the fence. You're the one that's going to end up with the pole in your ass. Pick a side. Stay on that side. Live with it. We can't all have everything we want. I respect every man on this panel, but I don't agree with every man on any topic. There is going to be something we disagree on. And I hope and pray that we can be man enough to still be men and friends afterwards. But we're going to disagree on something because I'm not a clone and I don't want to hang around clones. No problem with an amen section. No problem with having Christian values or Muslim values or Jewish values or any other values you have. I don't have them. And Rashawn and Yella last week pointed out why I don't. Because it's a big contradiction. How can God create something and then have it be hated? Do we understand everything that God has done? No. But that's the problem. We have to act like we understand all of God's moves, like he's our right-hand man. We only discovered cell phones last 20 years. Smartphones. I bet you God already knew about it. I bet you God knows how electric vehicles are going to work out for our infrastructure. I bet you God created the people that are in the rainforests that have never had access to the Bible. I guarantee you they have the same chance of going to heaven that I do. Literate or illiterate. Because if God created it, he created a way for it to be and a way for it to thrive and survive. But we got to be so fucking smart that we create religions. We created missionaries and all of this stuff to go save the people, the colonizers. Well, who's the fucking colonizers now? The worst thing about slavery is when you try to become the slave master. I laughed when you put up that little video about the girl talking about, I ain't dating no black man. That ain't my slave master, blah, 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 blah. Her wording was terrible, but was she right? I saw 2 black men come up on a stranger's panel with open arms, with hope, being excited, trying to bridge a gap. Black men. But white Jesus won, didn't he? Now, ain't nobody gonna say that they like the white man better than the black man, but who won? White Jesus won. Who gonna tell you white Jesus ain't gonna be welcome in your house? Oh no, white Jesus can't be around my kids. But you black power, you pro-black. Miss me with the bullshit, you fucking fakers. I'm so sick of it. And this is where women get the shit from. This is why women think they can get over on us. Because we stupid. We the dummies. We sell each other out at any chance for pussy, for white Jesus, for a job, for a house, for a title. Oh man, this nigga getting more bitches than me. Oh, we gonna change that. Huh. Oh, that was my man, but he really a Cowboy fan, and boy, that's the end of that. We got so many reasons not to fuck with each other, but no reason to. Remember how y'all all laughed at me when I first came on this platform and said we need to create a black embassy. We need to create something that unites us as black people. And then after we do the real work of uniting, then we can talk about all the disagreements, all the differences, all the this and that. But who wants to hear all of the arguing and the disagreement when you ain't did no work to build nothing? Where's your soil? What do you got to stand on? What foundation are you building on? You got to build something worth having an opinion over, worth having a criticism or a critique over. If me and you ain't done nothing together, what the fuck I give a fuck what you think? And that's why I gave a shout out earlier to my man, New Growth. Me and New Growth was going on Black Man Unfiltered's platform and Sir Hell's platform and all these other platforms because they was talking that ism. And then it hit us. These are religious buffs, and they're trying to find a slick way to bring us back to the church that we left. They're trying to find a nice, cool way to make a connection between all of the niggas that they done lost. That's why at the end of the day, black man goes out the window when white Jesus comes into the mix. Hello. Straight out the window. And so when that's what you choosing, these work just fine. I hear what you're saying, but my other 4 senses work just as fine. So I see what you're doing, I smell what you're cooking, and I can call bullshit when I see bullshit. I'm a master of bullshit. I know it when I see it. And that's why these women hate me. That's why these fake ass motherfuckers hate me. Because you know I'm going to call it out. And I'm going to give you the intellect and the intelligence or the emotional support that you need to know that it's fact. And that's what you've been doing, Rashawn, on your platform. I'm not going to even put you and me in the same tier because you're on a totally different stratosphere than I am on. And and the way I know that you're on a different stratosphere, my brother, is the level that you're on. You have to have balance. So you balance it out by giving a level of bullshit humility, or I don't know nothing, or I'm just a GED guy, or I'm just exactly. You might be.
It's the truth.
I'm just about to say, and you might be all of that stuff. But that's when you know it's genius, when it's 100% truth, when your story works out, but it still don't add up. The wisest man that I ever met was my grandfather, and he had a 3rd grade education. And that's why I tell people all the time, intelligence has nothing to do with wisdom. Absolutely nothing. You don't ever have to pick up a fucking book and you could be the wisest person in the land. Because wisdom is about observation, reflection, humility. The wise person knows when it's time to play stupid. The intelligent person always has to show their swordsmanship. They always have to die on that sword and show, I'm the smartest motherfucker in the room. Well, sometimes the person that lives and tells the story is the one that played like he was the dumbest motherfucker in the room. So I love how 3-dimensional you are. See, I'm a businessman, so when Anton Daniels said all of this business stuff and tried to apply it to love and relationships, I got it. But because I'm a businessman, I was drawn to it. But I know that it doesn't work in a marriage because I'm also a married man. But at the same time, the shit that other people are talking about ain't gonna solve none of our problems. All it's gonna do is get them subscribers. How does Sir Hales constantly talk about cantankerous women and then always have cantankerous women on his panel? Like, what are we doing here? Like, how is it the Lapeef show is always talking about, you know, changing this and how bad these women are? And then you go from, who was the first chick that you had? Takesha or Teresa, something like that, that was on and got into the fight with Anton over the husband.
I know you're talking about, man. Oh,
I'm talking. She was the first. Tawana. Then you go from Tawana to Kay. Then you go from Kay to Kayla. Now we got B. Simone's and the thises and the that's and whoever else is and the B. Taylors and all. And people keep falling for the same shit. Just call a spade a spade. You like Atlanta Housewives. They only show 6 to 8 episodes. How else are you going to get your fix? The Lapeef show. What's my man? And I love him, but his show is still like that. The Fight Clubs and the crew seasons and the ones out in Florida. The fake pimps that's really simps. Fresh and fit ass. Like all these fucking losers out here and they are going off of demographics. Why don't they get the big audience on the big nights and talk money talk along with talking to women? Money talk is a totally different day than club talk. Club talk has 20,000, 30,000 people in the damn chats. You turn back to Fresh and Fit the next day for money talk, 1,000 people at most. Anton Daniels with Lapeef, numbers are amazing. Anton Daniels' morning show where he's supposed to be talking money talk, numbers are low. Angry Man talks that talk, big numbers. Shout out to Angry Man. Fuck with him too. When Angry Man has his money talks, numbers are low. So that's why y'all don't see me no more. Because fuck y'all. Y'all not worth my time. Y'all fake. Y'all full of shit. Y'all act like y'all want to make this world a better place, but you really just want 15 seconds of fame. You really just want to be seen, want to be heard, want to get an amen corner. Nobody wants to really get better. Nobody really wants to improve. The proof is in the pudding. And I don't begrudge you. Once again, you have to live with the results. Just don't come knocking at the door of real folks, who the real pigs that made their house of brick. Don't come knocking on the door when your hay house and your wood house gets blown down. Simple as that. And that's where the problem comes in. That's why the women want to take care of the kids, because they need somebody that's going to take care of them at age 60, 70, 80. The odds of having someone young take care of you is way better than having the blind taking care of the blind. What I want this old fart taking care of me for? I'm taking care of my parents right now. They're still together. It's a beautiful thing to see them being together. My mom had to go to the hospital today. My dad's not in the best health. My dad said, B9, take your ass home. I'm not going nowhere though. That's my wife. I ain't going nowhere. I'll be right here. I'm not going to tell my father what to do. He tells me what to do. Period. Until we have that type of respect, I don't want to hear nothing from none of y'all. I don't care about none of y'all. Because y'all don't care about yourselves. You think you do. Because see, there's two types of love. You got all this agape and blah, 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 blah. But y'all niggas. Niggas got two types of love in y'all community. Self-love and race love. Y'all self-love is on 1,000. But your race love is -10. The crazy part about it is you look just like your race. So how high can your self-love really be? You dress the same. You talk the same. You got the same swag. You go to the same places. You like the same music. But yet you don't trust anyone that looks like you. Anyone that talks like you. Oh, he think too much like me. Oh, no, I ain't telling them where I got these shoes from. They just want to get where I got my stuff from. Why you hate people that's just like you? But yet you love you so much.
Something off.
Thank you. I know I've been going off. I want y'all to talk. I want y'all to converse with me.
Nah, I appreciate you. No, but you haven't been up here. But are you sorry?
Hold on, wait.
But are you sorry? A motherfucking thing. Kiss
Look.
all over my ass. I don't give a fuck.
I think somebody got something to say about that.
Oh. Not white Jesus. Not white Jesus. Jesus.
Nah, bro. I appreciate you, B9, because you know I always look up to you in the space because your level of authenticity and being able to differentiate when people are having conversations on multiple levels. Like that was like one of my biggest inspirations when I came to the space, was like, man, people are having all these conversations and conflating all these different things from all these different dimensions. And B9 was like, no, that's an internal versus an external. That's an individual versus a group. That's a macro versus a micro. That's an inside voice versus, I mean, every time it was like, man, B9 would call it out because everybody, like 15, 20 minutes in the conversation, people are arguing about something. It's like, nah, that's not what you're doing. You're actually having two different conversations. So that skill to be able to listen and dissect different arguments, man, I really respect and appreciate that, because I think you're spot on about all of that stuff. And the only thing I want to pat myself on the back, because Vic did come up here and say that we couldn't have a world full of all gay people. And I did make that argument. I was like, as long as there's men with semen and women with eggs, we can procreate. It doesn't matter what form, it doesn't matter who they love, it doesn't matter how they have sex. As long as the semen can get to the egg, and humans are amazingly ingenious, and we have proof of that throughout the history of humanity, we could figure out a way. Even before we had technology, people were doing some weird things and flipping upside down to get pregnant and conveying things and fluids in all kinds of different ways. We will figure out a way. So yeah, I wanted to, little pat, but you're right. You're right, man.
You
said right,
it.
Man.
But one last thing I want to say on that, since you brought that up, I still want to give a shout out to Black Man Unfiltered, his channel, Hink and JT, all of them. I'm a father, I'm a husband. I understand their point of view. I think that they did a terrible job of conveying that point of view because they put their viewpoint over respecting other Black men, which I believe is very counterproductive to what this whole platform and this whole space is all about. I don't believe that a disagreement should go in the way, but I do understand where they're coming from, because going back to what you all were saying about the children are already confused, especially with me being a school teacher. I know firsthand. Children are very confused trying to get a grasp on what this world is about and trying to understand, because children come out completely honest. And we fuck that up. We teach them the quote unquote importance of little white lies.
Yep.
And making people and saying something to not hurt another person's feelings or this or that. It reminds me of a video that I hope that y'all have seen it, where the person's not on camera, but you can tell the person's a big woman, because she's asking the little girl, what do you want to be like when you grow up?
I saw
the little
that.
girl's like, I don't want to be a fat girl. And the lady's like, well, who you know that's a fat girl?
I'm in the room with one.
That's what they come out of the womb being, completely honest. We change that. We pervert that. We fuck up a great thing. And because of that, we have confused our children decade after decade to a point where a lot of them can never get on the right track. That's why a lot of these people are 50, 60, 70 years old and don't have it together, because they didn't understand what their mother was trying to tell them at age 7, at age 6. They misunderstood what was going on. And they have to live with it for the rest of their lives. And everyone that comes in contact with them has to suffer that portion of what they suffered through for the rest of their lives. Sad but true. And it happens over and over and over again. So we have to understand that people and loving people trumps everything. Because if God created it, that's how you show God you love him. By loving his creations. You can't go out and give him a hug. The closest thing you're going to get to him is loving his creations. Whether you agree with how they go about their life, that's your choice. I'm not sitting here being a hypocrite. I don't agree with everything. I don't consider myself a homophobe, but based off of everything that was being said last week, I would probably fall into that category. I don't think that I'm anti-Semitic either, but I'm sure if you ask enough Jewish people, based off of things that I've said, they would say that I am anti-Semitic as well. But I'm not. And you can't decide for me what I am, because the problem with that is that those labels can cost me money. Those labels can cost me access. That's another reason why I've stopped coming on platforms. Too many women want to win an argument, and they will punch below the belt and bring up things like homosexuality, pedophilia, all types of things that is not associated with B9 in any way, shape, or form, just to win an argument, just to be right and have everyone in the congregation say amen. I have a real life, ladies and gentlemen. I impact people's lives, and starting with mine and my family's, every day. And I cannot have my ambition be counterproductive. So if you can't understand that I'm here to help you, and I'm here to improve you, and all you can give me in return is burn them at the stake, sorry. That's all you gave me. So that's all I can give back to you. But if you understand that I'm here to love you, the same way Conscious TV tried to show people I'm here to love you. You ain't got to agree with everything I'm doing, but I'm here to love you. I'm motherfucker. If you had half a brain and you could get a quarter of the subscribers that he has, boy, you be in a totally different stratosphere. Do I say you sell your soul for money? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if your soul was in the right place, you would have gotten the benefits naturally, organically, authentically, because good people like to help good people. Good people like to be appreciated. And when they are appreciated, they like to give that appreciation and reciprocate that appreciation back. I'm not gay. I've never been a proponent, be honest, of the gay community, because there's a lot of agendas and political things that go above the people that I don't agree with. But I don't hate any person, never have, never will, unless you hate me. If you don't like me, then guess what? I got something for you. But nobody that has anything toward me, I don't have anything toward you. And if you want to build, and let's build. If you can look past my flaws, I can look past your flaws. Because I'm definitely not coming to the table clean, squeaky clean, as my man Iverson used to say back in the day. I'm definitely not squeaky clean. So if you can deal with my warts, I can deal with your pimples. And let's build. Let's go get some Clearasil and get some clear skin out this motherfucker.
That's what we here for,
Some good blood
B9.
pressure, some good numbers, some good blood pressure, some good blood sugars, and to get this health in order. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely have a conversation. Candidan and Kawhi Bree are definitely gonna be having a conversation soon about health. Because like B9 did say, when people are having financial conversations, we tap out. When people are having a health conversations, we tap out. When people are having literacy conversations, I remember on Knowledge and Relationships, they had a book club. We tap out. Like we tap out on anything that's about enrichment a lot of times.
Anything
But a
about
lot of
self-edification. Yep.
anything about edification, growth, evolution, we kind of tap out. But if it hits those certain zones of messiness or the self-development that really only tells you that you're already good enough, that kind of like self-affirming builds you up, self-love, like B9 said, that self-love's on 9,000. And if we don't hit those couple of zones, man, we kind of tap out. And I'm trying to do better about that myself. So I understand the struggle. I'm one of those people B9 was talking about, because I'd be up in the messy spaces. I'm trying to do better. Again, I'm doing better. Not trying, I'm doing better. And like he also said about the reciprocity, I'm trying to be better in that regard as well. That's why we're here today, because I'm trying to show reciprocity for the people that's been showing up for me. So yep, it's sad. No one wants to entertain financial literacy. It's a thing, but I'm trying to work on the saving right now. I mean, because my financials were bad. And after listening to Alonzo, I mean, it was finally like, man, I really need to get my savings. I mean, because it sounds nice to invest, man, but if you ain't got nothing sitting to invest and you keep spending it every time, you see a new set of headphones or I mean, you can't really invest if you're always spending. It don't make it that far. I know everybody's been but we've heard this information a million times. We've heard this and we tune it out.
Yeah, I'm happy that B9 came up because he's heard me probably, and many of you guys have said this, have heard me say this before, that, I get discouraged from making YouTube videos because when I see that the messiness gets all the views, and when I want to come on here talking about the blood pressure and this and that, I'm like, why do I got to go through tricks to help save your ass? I'm fine. I don't have any fucking problems, right? My blood pressure is good. I don't have diabetes. I don't have anything. I don't take a pill for shit. Right. But why am I struggling? Why am I going through hoops trying to fix you? And so when I make videos, it gets discouraging when no one shows. I'm not, so Kawhi Bree, just as we're touching on this a little bit right here, Kawhi Bree and I will be talking about this. I don't know how we're going to present it. It's going to be on this platform, her platform, my platform, or I don't care where it goes. The thing about Kawhi Bree and I, none of us care. None of us care whose platform it goes, as long as it reaches you guys and you guys feel comfortable and we can help each other out in this kind of space, because this, as much as money matters and as much as money is powerful and freedom, ask someone that has a lot of money that's desperately sick what they want. They want good health. So we definitely got to talk about health. Okay. I might be spamming the chat from time to time with some health information. Whatever I can do, whatever tricks or shit I can do, I'm gonna do it. So
110 over
I'm glad
8.
that we kind of talked about that a little bit because it's important for me. Yeah, we really, that's why we're going to be double dutching. We're going to be doing all type of shit, And I definitely want to talk about savings because that's one of the things in terms of personal finance. I don't know a lot about investment like B9 and the other gentleman, Alonzo, know about. But when it comes to saving money and budgeting, which is the very first step, you cannot, and they'll tell you themselves, you cannot start thinking about budgeting. And I heard Alonzo say this himself, save up some money first. That's, I dropped we'll talk about that one day. Maybe we'll find a way to drop that little spreadsheet that I made on how to save $10,000. I do that every single year.
That's what I started doing. I actually have an envelope that I started.
Yeah, we can talk about how the envelope works.
yeah.
That's just one of the mechanisms that I use in order to save money. I still save money outside of that. That $10,000 is just one of the things that I do. And if you can't afford 10, then you can do 5. You can take, we'll talk about all those different things, I hope, at one time, but I'm happy to see the conversation got to this spot. And I'm happy that let me tell you, in these spaces, as much negativity as has come about of all the, men versus women and women, there's some people that I have to say that it's been worth it. All the bullshit, it has been worth it because I made a few connections that has meant everything. That has really meant a lot. Don't be Yella, you're one of them. B9, absolutely love and adore you. Arshawn, Bree, there's a couple of other people. Bernard. Absolutely love Bernard. Got a lot of love for Mandrell. I think he's finding his way about this YouTube space and what have you, but I have a lot of love for him as well. There's a lot of people in these spaces that we're all flawed, right? I know Candid in front of me can go good and it can go bad, right? The and part is just me, but the Candid part, I know it can be good and it can be bad, right? We're all flawed, but there's some connections here that we've made that I hope, Arshawn, I've spoken to you about this before. You've built a community, and this is where it starts. So I hope this community, this is why I want to see you become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? This is where community starts. If we can do what was intended and bridging the gap, not just with that community, but with a multitude of communities, this is where it starts.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to lend myself to that, because I thank everybody that's paid me kind words and given me encouragement. I want to thank all of y'all for real, B9, Kansas. All of y'all encouraged me in ways and inspired me in ways y'all probably don't understand. But I do want to continue to build. When I hear you say bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, I'm gonna tell you that sounds threatening, but maybe build to bigger and comfortable, bigger and decent. I don't know. I don't want no crazy platform, but I do want to have a space.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
Please go ahead, give me. Go ahead.
There was one time in my life, right, where I used to say, God, this is when I didn't have any money. I used to say, God, you know what? I don't need to be a millionaire. All I really want is I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be able to pay my bills. I don't want to struggle. I just want to be comfortable. So I was afraid of a lot of money because I felt like that was like, I'm asking too much. I don't need all that. And I was nervous about it. So all I really wanted was to be comfortable. And as I made more and more and more and more money, what I realized is that was a selfish prayer, right? Why was it selfish, Arshawn? It was selfish because all I did was I cared about myself. All I wanted to do was to be comfortable. What happens when you have more money is you're able to do more, help more people with it. Like I have a house here. If I only had an apartment for me and my husband and 1 bedroom, if something happened to my brother or my mother, I wouldn't have a room to put them in. But if I'm blessed with more, I can then do more. So this is why I push back on you, and I always will push back on you when I see value in people. I don't want you to, because I think it's a Black cultural thing. Oh, I don't need this. I just need my little, I don't know, that's what I blame it to. So I push back on you because I want you to understand that when you do grow, and it's going to be a natural progression. Don't worry about how it works out and whatever. It's just a natural progression, but don't be afraid of that, because when you are able to grow, then you are able to do more. You're able to do more. You're able to influence more. I've seen a video on TikTok of this guy. I'm not on TikTok. I'm thinking about doing it. Right? A guy has 1 million followers. This white guy, he's got like a missing tooth in the front and he's real friendly. He talks about whatever. Long story short, he saw a woman who a bunch of church people came to a restaurant and they left this girl. I think it was 21 people went to a restaurant, relate, all this different stuff, left the lady $10, left the waitress $10 as a tip. And she was like, 21, and she sold the bill, hundreds of dollars. And this church people left. So he said, you know what? We're going to do what the church wasn't able to do. And everybody he had all of his followers send that girl $1, $5, $1. At the end, she didn't know what the hell was going on. She never met that man. All of a sudden, her phone started blowing up. She had over $4,000. Over $4,000 in her account. Right? So this is what I'm talking about. We can't short-sight ourselves by saying, I don't really need to be big. We can make changes out here. Imagine if I needed some kind of help and I'm like, listen, guys, I'm down right now. I know I typically got money or whatever, but I'm down. If you had 1 million followers and maybe even a portion of them sent me $1, you just never know. It's not for me. I'm just talking about in our community. Sometimes it might be someone's lights. It might be somebody's rent. It might be somebody's whatever. You don't know what we can do out here. So I don't want you to short side yourself on that. And that's why I push back. Okay. Sorry to be long-winded about it, but that's where I'm at. Okay. Yeah. You going back and forth with somebody? Who you talking to?
No, B9 was leaving.
B9.
And I was laughing at Ine. Your gifts will make room for you. My
Yeah.
thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might be able to have like I think I heard in Conscious say he's paid people's rent on his platform, pay people's light bills.
Yep.
You just never know where this thing will go. So.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I appreciate it. And maybe one day something. I hear you. Let me just say it like that. I hear you. I understand. I agree with that whole play down thing because Bree got on me about that before too. So I'm just going to just shut up and just accept it. And I'm just going to move on. That's all. I was in another group that did that. Everybody put in $1 and it was a raffle every week. People were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can't ask. I would rather starve. Maybe pride. Yeah.
Girl, you're going to have to, I'm not such a guy or girl, but you're going to have to stop that. We're going to talk about that one day because that shit gets on my fucking nerves. We're not about to have our people out here starving because of your pride. And I mean this in the most loving way possible, okay? So I don't know who you are or whatever. I mean it in the most loving way. We're not going to have this going on. I've seen too many people suffering because they're afraid to say, like, I need help. So I'm not here for that at all. Let's work on getting rid of a little bit of that. It's okay to ask for help.
Hey, can we be petty? Can we be petty? I mean, y'all been very positive.
Go ahead, be petty, bro. Be petty.
The last hour and a half been disgusting. All this disgusting. Oh yeah, what's good?
Okay, I want to show y'all because we mentioned Simon earlier, and I guess he heard. I guess he was listening, lurking from the Raptors. So we're gonna just switch and get in a little petty real quick. Let's see Simon's petty. Yes, petty. Y'all need help anyway. So let's see what Simon got.
Ooh.
Y'all already know it be the boy Young Gordon, and you rocking with Take Money Promotion. Hey, Take Money Promotion. Give him that new shit, no food shit.
Give him the attention he's looking for.
Let's go.
Shout out to Simon.
DJ Nico. Take Money Promotion.
Take heat, fuck these niggas. Bitch, I'm silly. Off them choppers, shoot your shit up, let's get busy. Drinking Henny, going crazy, popping pillay. Sex, money, murder, shout out all my blazing Billy. We in your city. Shout out my ace in the fucking lane.
Boo.
Oh, man.
He probably removed it. He probably wasn't expecting any attention.
I mean, it's kind of lit though. Is that supposed to be a diss? Because you was in that motherfucker lit. That shit, all right, cool.
Hey, yo, ain't gon' shoot. Spin on who? Who the fuck is you? Who the fuck you know, nigga? No, nigga. Niggas killed your cousin, you gon' smoke, nigga. Dumb nigga. Rolling up your cousin in a blunt, nigga. Bozo. Bitch, are you dumb? Stupid. Bitch, I'm the cannon with this drum. Pull on and send me Lola pump. We going dumb. Bitch, I'm stupid. Bitch, I'm dumb. I be tweaking, I be wildin', I be booty. I be stealing, I be robbing, I be looting. Your boyfriend gummy, get no money, bitch, he stupid. Oh, bitchy, stupid. Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you? I'm just saying, homie. Now you smoking black and mild, smoking red, homie. Tell him shut up, suck a dick. Tell him fuck him, I'm the shit. Bitch, I'm just recording this. I'm getting money, I'm the shit. Shout out my blood, shout out my crib. That nigga Ebro, he a bitch. Just another old nigga on a young nigga dick. Bitch, I'm lit on the gram, a million like you see my shit. Bitch, DM for the dick, but I probably wouldn't hit. VVS, Cuban hit. Shout out Jimmy for the drip. Baby daddy mixtape was a shit. He a bitch. Free Bobby, free Rowdy, free Quino, free the Nam. Shout out JD, shout out Kura D. Sad, oh my god. FOA.
That's enough. Enough for me.
All I seen was a hype video.
Well, he took what he did was took my the intro video to my YouTube channel and looped it with that beat in it and added like that little rainbow effect to it. But he called it Stupid at Critically Drinking. And Stupid was directed at AR. I never called Simon stupid, but Simon is simple. But he wanted some attention. He got it. We've seen your video, Simple Simon, and we appreciate you. Thank you for the attention. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It was supposed to be a diss track?
That was supposed to be a diss track. He's fixated for whatever reason. Maybe because I'm a dime. He's transfixed. He cannot remove his eyeballs from the screen when I'm on it. He keeps doing the acts. This is the first time I've actually caught one of the videos when he asked me. This is the first time I've caught it. So I was just curious. But yeah, if that's the best you can do, my guy, it's not going to get it. But that's also one of the reasons, Candid Ann, that I don't want to be too big. I want to be comfortable. I want to be because there's weirdos like that come out of the woodworks.
No, nigga. No.
I gotta deal with weirdos like this.
Get used to the little ones now, because when the bigger ones come, or you get used to the little, situations like this, because when the bigger ones come, you'll be able to handle it with no issue. Okay. Like I really wouldn't pay him no mind, but
it doesn't bother me. It's just it's a nuisance. Yeah, that one doesn't bother me. He's gonna be bigger nuisances.
There's gonna be bigger nuisances.
It's just
weird.
weird.
Gonna happen.
I mean, it just seemed like a hype video. Let's okay. I've been really negative today, all right? Been really negative.
That's not we supposed to make you relax and shit. Like, God damn.
mean, the track was lit. The lights and the effect, nigga, he got you dancing and shit. Like, that's why I'm like, is it a diss track, or is he trying to might be trying to give you props, bro? He might be trying.
I mean, either way, it doesn't affect me on either lane. It doesn't make me feel good or bad. It's just somebody that can't move on, and that's cool. I get it. If I was trying to be a part of somebody's growth and I believed in them, but I was too weird and they put me off the train because I said put me off the train, I probably would feel a little bitter. Like, dang, I shouldn't open my mouth. Like, God dang it, I shouldn't have said nothing. I should have just shut up, but I couldn't because I'm Simon. So I get it. I'd feel weird too. Can Simon be submissive? No, he can't. He cannot.
Your bingo.
Yeah, it's scary. That's why I can't stream. Salute to all y'all the curses. Yeah, it's cool. Simon is Simon. He's always been different. We've all seen him all across this space. He has way more bad days than good days. But I mean, that's Simon. Like Candid Ann said, we're all flawed. The only reason I'm streaming, it started off with a bad interaction from me trolling in the chat. Me going ham in the chat, challenging people, critiquing them on their own platform. So, I mean, it's all of it is a part of all of our individual processes. We don't want the ugly. We only want the good, and we want just enough of it to feel comfortable that nobody's going to try to come take it. I get it. It's all human nature. I'm with it. But, man, it's just so – it's all strange. Because I think all of us have an expectation in our mind. Whenever you start something, you kind of have a vision for it.
Mm-hmm.
And my vision is – and like to your point about the Black community, my vision is very limited as far as what I wanted. I want just enough for myself. That is selfish. That is selfish. And that's something Bree has tried to get at me. Nova has got at me. The reason I even talk about my GED on stream is that Nova talked to me about that could be beneficial as far as people hearing that, because people make assumptions about my level of education. And he's like, but the people that actually share your demographic, if they knew that might be inspiring, well, this dude dropped out and got a GED and I just need to take certain steps. Or maybe if I'm around, because I learned everything through osmosis or through experience. I didn't pick up a lot of books. Honestly, I don't read books a lot. I read snippets of something I find online. I don't like reading books. I don't enjoy it. But you can learn if you set your mind to it, and you can do better. But it's, it's your fault for naming the show Critically Drinking. It is. It is. It is my fault. But I really do appreciate all of y'all's encouragement. Sincerely.
It's
So,
been a good
I'm gonna keep
conversation.
going.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the I'm sorry talk. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that because we kind of went off. I don't want to try to jump back into it because I won't be on much longer anyway. We can just chit chat for a minute because I have a stream at 8. So but do I drink? I do drink, but not often. Dury, I see your comment on YouTube, but I don't see it in there. It is. Boom. I don't drink much. Really quickly, where the name came from. My host was Rico. I would be the critical thinker, and he's also a critical thinker. But Rico was the heavy drinker. So it just made sense. Let me see. I taught Bible school. I don't read books in the sense of I just have books around. I have read the Bible quite a lot. So to clarify, I have read the Bible quite a lot, but I never put that in the book category for me. I never put that in the book. The Bible for me is always something separate. Hot drinks, yeah? Hot drinks,
I gotta remember like a fucking elephant.
Rico is the crazy guy. He's a wild and crazy guy. Absolutely. Rico is cool. So just real quick, tomorrow what I'll be doing is going over, and this is going to be more academic, kind of like a video, but it's going to be like with a doctor or psychologist or something, going over conflict resolution. So anybody who wants to go through conflict and conflict resolution with me, we'll go through it together because I have not seen the entire video. We can do that tomorrow. Thursday, we'll be doing Come On Man, where we'll be talking about stupid, since Simon brought it to the forefront. We'll be talking about stupid, but it will be idiophobes, people who reject ideas and rationality, logic, reason, one of those words. That'll be Thursday. And Friday, we're going to have some Foolishness Friday. So Simon may come back up on Foolishness Friday. It'll be a free form. We can talk about whatever we want. It could be open panel. I'll drop the link in the chat. So we can do that Friday. So that's the schedule for this week. But again, Camden Inn, why you want to do the health talks? Have you found a group of people? Is there a certain demographic or a place where we start to be receptive? Have you found somebody receptive to the messages of health?
Say that again. Have I found someone receptive to what?
Like I'll tell you, like from the church, like church as a hospital or a place of healing. When people are down and out, then they tend to be receptive to the message. Like, is there something where people become open to, I want to do better about my health? Have you noticed? Like, because I've even known people that were on death's door and they're still acting silly healthily, health-wise. So have you found a zone where people
No, I haven't. That's why I want to talk about it. It really varies. When we're talking about health, we're talking about culture, right? We're talking about people there's so much that goes on there. And I want to talk about what can practically help you, like just practical things that can help you. Just the ignorance of certain things is just too much for me. It's frustrating, right? And so I'm a little bit hesitant to talk about some of the health things because my candid mouth gets, I want to help, right? But then I have an issue with playing games with, but he wasn't nice to me, right? And that's where I'm like, who cares? Did the person save your life? Just like B9 talks about the results. At the end of the day, did the person save your life? Like, I know you want a friend, but I'm not your friend. I'm friendly. I'm not your friend. I'm your nurse. Right. And so that's where sometimes I'm like, I want people to understand. I don't want people to come off thinking that I'm like, your feelings don't matter. I'm just saying that in the hierarchy of things that I have to worry about, I'm trying to get you out of here and I'm trying to keep you alive. Meanwhile, you're worried about things that, I don't want to say it's not important because I know it's important to you. But the freshness of the strawberries or just things that you shouldn't be worried about. But I'm trying to, at the end of the day, save your life. Right. And so, I'm happy that Bree's going to be here because I feel like she has a wonderful way of putting things together and a way of speaking, hopefully temper me back a little bit, and on top of it too, I think also Bree's a little bit more free because she can, I feel like you get the most out of people when they're no longer in that industry. I'm still working, so I'm a little bit limited with the things that I'm willing to talk about, but there's still a whole lot, right? So, to answer your question, the answer is directly no. People are in the hospital still refusing care, even though, like, born with diabetes, blood pressure, sugar is 300, and you're still asking me for ice cream at 3:00 in the morning. Right. This was a conversation I've had with another nurse literally a few weeks ago. The patient is up and down in the refrigerator. And she just told him, you got to stop eating snacks because your blood sugar is too high. And, as it got throughout the night, it reached 400. Right. And she just told him a couple of minutes ago, bro, you're here. You were this is the reason why you're here. And I done told you you've been here for a week. And I told you this an hour ago. Right. So, you know, I get passionate about it because, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to the Black community, and I know people don't think there's a community, but we are who we are, right? There's a lot of misinformation amongst us. We call things the sugar. We think that, you know, the pressure, you know, and don't make me upset. You're gonna make my pressure high, right? And I want us to really understand what is high blood pressure. Like, what's the actual number? How do you take the blood pressure? And when you're at the hospital, you know, B9 talked about taking care of his family, taking care of his how do you advocate for someone in the hospital? You know, a lot of times there's a cultural, I live in Connecticut. There's a cultural barrier in terms of how people perceive what we're saying and us being passionate. Right. So I want us to get the services that we need. And I'm not telling you that you shouldn't be angry or upset or whatever, but sometimes people come out the gate expressing, y'all ain't did nothing to me. Y'all ain't helped me. And when I look in the chart, I'm like, we gave you this, 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 and this, but it didn't help. But don't say I didn't help you. I'm trying here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I gave you 5 different things and you're telling me that I didn't do nothing for you. Right. So I want people to have the right language to, you know, I know that we have like issues in terms of we were treated wrong. We've been done wrong by the healthcare. I get it. No argument with me there. But at the end of the day, if you avoid some issues, if you avoid like working with this, we're not going to benefit. We're not going to benefit. We're not going to live healthier lives. We're not going to, you know, so these are things I want to talk about because we could talk about, you know, a whole lot of stuff. I want to make it fun also, like, right? So I don't want it to be this conversation where I'm like, you know, your blood pressure needs to be like this. You know, we could talk about your dick a little bit. We could talk about how the blood pressure going to give you that, going to give you that long, strong stroke. We could make it fun. We can make it, you know, palatable. Right, to make it so people can really get some kind of understanding and get the information that they need at the end of the day, right? So that's all I really care about it. So, you know, I'm not here to be an old fogey about it or whatever. Let's just be real about it, and hopefully at the end of the day we can all benefit. We can all benefit. I would love for us to like help each other out in that manner and just really have a better understanding of what to do. There's so much information out here. I've seen people making videos talking all kinds of trash about like curing cancer with like Irish roots and some kind of berries. I'm not lying, and it pisses me.
No, I remember
off.
we were in a stream. I was on the panel.
Yeah, with berries
like,
and shit like that, and I'm like, cancer, bro, cancer. You know, I've had patients that are trying to cure blood pressure with like all these roots and stuff. I'm not saying that that's great for preventive measures. I'm not saying those things, just throw all of it out the window. Please hear me when I say that there's space for some of that, right? But when you got to take a blood pressure pill, right? If you don't want to get up and go to the gym, which I want you to do, but your ass ain't going to do, then you might have to take this pill. And people are always saying like, you know, they just want our money. They just want our money. How many of you guys don't know that you're supposed to go to the fucking gym? You all fucking know. Go to the fucking gym. Everybody knows it. Ain't none of y'all at the gym. So stop saying that people are holding back information from you. You know. You already know. You want some new information. You want a pill. You want a tea, a detox tea. You want some quick fix. Right? I just want people to be real with themselves. Just be real. Don't put the onus on other people. Don't put the onus completely on. Like, I'm here for dragging the system, the healthcare system, and it needs to be dragged, right? But we got to do our part. We have to do our part. All this bullshit about they just want to take our money. The detox tea and the fit tea. Yeah, I didn't have a problem when people were selling the fit tea. Right? I have there's a subscriber. I won't name her name, but she has a bunch of videos that says, I lost 30 pounds this month. I lost 10 pounds. If you add up all the fucking pounds that she lost, she should be negative. She should not be a lot. She should be in a negative zone, but she's still fat.
She lying. That's crazy.
But she's still fat. So what are you talking about? It's just a lot of nonsense. So I want people to just, you know, we're going to have a real discussion about it. I want people to feel comfortable talking about it. You know, we got to talk about hygiene. okay, sexual health, all of that stuff, and advocating for yourself and advocating for your family, and some situations that are not easy to talk about. So as you can tell, I can easily go on and on about it. I don't mean to like muck up your thing, but
No, you're
it's something
good.
that's important to me. And also mental health. I'm not a mental health specialist, but as a nurse, one of the things that I never really in my life struggled with too much was mental health. But now with all the weight of having to take care of patients, some of them dying, and I've been struggling a little bit. And so I have to like get back to normal and do some of the things that make me happy. So there's a little bit of self-love, self-care that, just being a provider, being someone that takes care of others. I heard Yella talking about having to take care of his dad. There's some things that you got to do, Yella, for yourself, just to be able to show up for other people. Right. So we got to talk a little bit about like advocating for your family means you got to also do some self-care for yourself. Otherwise, there's nothing to give. You got to show up for other people. That's a responsibility you decide to take on, but you can't show up empty. You gotta feed yourself, exercise, do whatever the fuck it takes. So yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about. We're gonna talk about it one by one, bit by bit, and I hope that people interact with it and get into it. I hope that a lot of people show up. I might be inviting people on the sly. People listen, y'all reached out to me to talk about dick and pussy and all kind of nonsense and relationships. So if I hit your Instagram up, I expect you to come on over here and discuss the story, discuss your family, discuss, a lot of people hit me up on my Instagram. Okay, you come over here and talk about this? Can you come over here and talk about you're married or whatever, So hey, if I hit you up, because I've never ever hit anybody up. If I hit you up to ask you to tell your story or to come over here, I'm expecting to. I want to see what you're really about. What are you really about? Are you really for the community, as B9 said? So we'll see. We'll see.
No, we'll definitely see. I'm definitely glad you're doing it. We need to show and prove that we care more about more than just a mess. I think we need to show and prove that. I think to each other as people, like we need to show up for each other. Because I think that's why a lot of us get discouraged, because we continually see people show up for the mess and not show up when it's like actually like the moment time, when it's time to show up and do something positive. And all of us, we check out a little bit more and become more and more despondent. And then eventually it's like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Why am I even here? I'm not going to do any panels. I'm not going to stream. I'm not going to listen. And then we'll check out and kind of give up and just put our head back to real life. Like, you know what? I'm just going to take care of my family. I'm just going to go up to work and I'm just whatever. But I think that's something we need to do in these moments like this. When you're talking about health, when All Star was talking about finances, I think we need to show that we can show up for those, check in, be involved in the conversation and not just a passive listener, while we're doing something else. That way it gets the person feels like they've been engaged with. I think we need to give that sacrifice to each other. And that's such a small thing to do, but we don't offer that a lot of times to each other. So I definitely hope that we can get that done for you. However way I can support, whether it's over here, over there, whatever way I can support, I'm in. So
one of the things the last thing I'll say is that, one of the things that I have learned in watching some of those bigger platforms, I think B9 mentioned like the Fight Club and Anton and some of those other bigger channels where people showing up for the mess, even at that, I've learned that we might have to get sometimes messy, right, to garner the crowd, because at the end of the day, what I realized is that, and I'll just use Anton because it was mentioned earlier, right? He's smart for garnering a community, right? The first step is we got to get people to watch. So if it involves bingo night, if it involves whatever it is, once we get that community, then we can start spoon feeding some of the information that we really want to feed them. So I'm not 100% angry with some of these platforms that talk about, Fight Club and everybody shows up or whatever. I might start spamming Fight Club with healthcare information. Shit, that's where everybody at, right? Why not go over there? I might go, you might see my name over there from time to time, just telling people a healthy blood pressure is 120/80. If 4,000 people are in the chat, why the fuck not? Right? They've done the work to garner the community. And I don't care where, I'm at the point where I don't even give a shit where the community is at. Just trying to get the information out, bro. Right? So, yeah. But we got to do a little bit. I understand that it can't all be dry.
Yeah. And I know it won't, if it's you and Bree, it wouldn't all be dry.
Yeah.
But I don't think people would trust it based on like a title and the thumbnail. It would have to have like a provocative, catchy thing, because neither of you are dry people. Like that's what gets me. Neither y'all are dry at all. So even if y'all doing dry information like you did a minute ago, it was passionate and you was dropping some F-bombs in there. You know what I'm saying?
You got to be relatable. It's one of the things I've realized. You got to be relatable. People don't want to be spoken down to. They want to know that you can relate. Yeah.
Get that. But we getting ready to head up out, y'all. Again, tonight I will be on The Wireless Woman. I dropped the link in the chat at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. Yella, if you don't mind, give us your final thoughts on what B9 said, what Kansas Dan with the healthcare said, or about the I'm sorry. Are you sorry?
I mean, everything I said today.
I knew he was going to say that.
And you just gonna stand on that? That's how it is? You just gonna stand on that?
What? Yeah. If I said I'm sorry, I meant it. If I say I'm sorry, I meant it.
Okay, cool.
I like that.
That's solid. That's solid.
I like that.
What about you, Ken? And do you have any final thoughts on our way up out of here?
Yeah, just thanks for everyone for coming through. And I hope that we can continue to have, more passionate conversations in which we learn from one another, joke around. And this has been a great conversation for me. It wasn't all just, like I said, dry. It was fun. It was passionate. It was thought-provoking. And this is the space I kind of feel comfortable. So even all the bullshit that you go through, I feel like, sometimes you find your people. And I hope that we can continue to find more people that are, of this mindset as well.
Definitely. We
Shout out to
can
everybody.
disagree, but we can still keep moving and grow the conversation. So I definitely like the tribe that we're forming. I am going to play this video that Yella sent me because somebody mentioned this the other day. I had never seen or heard of it. So I'm going to play this and then I'm going to play the outro behind that. So everybody, I hope you have a wonderful evening. If I don't see y'all, give me a sec.
Did y'all hear that? Quaker Grits is $20 million a year off black folks. Quaker Grits. Can I have your grit money for 1 year? Give me your grit money for 1 year and I will build 10 schools across this country. Give me your grits. Give me your Quaker Grits. No more grits for 1 year. Can we sacrifice our grits for 1 year? Can we sacrifice the grits? If you give me the grits, $19 million on Quaker Grits. $19 million on Quaker Grits, black folk. If you give me your Quaker Grits.
He ain't building no school with that.
Give me your grit money. I don't want your Louis bag money. I don't want your Mercedes money. I don't want your weave, perm, haircut, Ed Jordan, Timberland money. Give me your grits. We spend $19 million a year on grits, and I don't have enough money to renovate the Garvey building. I don't have enough money to renovate the Garvey building. And we spending $19 million on grits. Go to your Cash App, $FDMG School right now. Go to your Cash App, $FDMG School right now. Go to your Cash App and make a Labor Day donation to the future of black boys. $FDMG School. Get on your Cash App.
That's what he meant. I had no clue. But all right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Come on, ma'am.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
I don't think women should know. Huh? I don't think women should vote. I don't think women should vote.
Oh my God, you're an idiot.
I learned a lot. And I learned a lot. Anyway, Bo is associated here. Anyway, the point I want to make is I learned so much. I learned black, white, all colors, all backgrounds, but I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot, come on, man. You know the thing, you know what I mean? You know the thing, you know what I mean? Come on, man. What I have to do is I have to continue talking about the things, come on, man. Oh, I'm in trouble. What are we, nuts? Dead, come on, man. Give me a little break here. Get a life. Taking cocaine or not? What do you think? Huh? Come on, man. Black, white, all colors, all backgrounds, but I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot, come on, man. You know the thing, you know what I mean? You know the thing, you know what I mean? Come on, man. You have a problem figuring out where you're from here or from, and you ain't black. Come on, man. Come on, man. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids, wealthy kids. Come on, man. I mean, come on. Take a look at the record. I know a lot of weed smokers. Come on, man. Black, white, all colors, all backgrounds. But I mean, come on, man. Men, women, gay, straight, everyone deserves a shot. You know, come on, man. You know the thing. You know what I mean? You know the thing. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Why the hell would I take a test? I am, come on, man.
She's actually hurt.
No, I
there.
think she is.
Yeah, she's
Ouch.
hurt. She took a hard fall off there.
Okay.
Boy, gosh, I hope she's okay.
Your auntie's gotta chill.